go. You know what's way scarier than when computers don't listen to you, Carl?
Is that when they do listen to you?
It's when they listen to you and then initiate follow-up conversations a week later.
Yeah.
Have you seen that happened?
No?
I think it was ChatGPT got an
What's it
update
doing now?
where it can now like initiate conversations that are based off like previous things that have been said. Someone just like posted on Reddit like, "Oh, so I just got a message started by ChatGPT that was like, "Hey, how was your first week of school that we spoke about not long ago?"
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to not result in plenty of people getting caught out.
Yeah, true.
Because oh, I went on like the Chat GPT app and it asked me of like how my first that date that my wife's not supposed to know about went.
I can imagine that's gonna go well.
It's gonna go great.
It's
Like who just giving unlimited amounts of data to people, all they care about is the amount of profit they can extract from us. What could possibly go wrong?
it's something I saw on just like TikTok, so it's very unverified.
Also, speaking of giving your data to someone,
Yeah, true. But like apparently I saw a video that was saying that for a while in American schools they stopped um teaching the like probabilities of eye color because the amount of kids that had different color eyes than their parents would go home and be like, so I got taught about this thing in school, why are my eyes different colors to yours? And then
yeah, it
like
caused
it
arguments.
caused arguments and or reveal people cheating and having
Yeah,
like illegitimate kids and shit.
it's one of those like really basic like tenets of genetics. That's pretty much obviously you can have a child who has different colored eyes to you, but the odds of it happening like tens of
Depending on
thousands.
what eye color you have,
Yeah,
all that stuff, yeah.
it's a very basic way of teaching children about dominant and recessive genes, and it's a way that you can do it without picking on someone. Because like normally the one is red hair, but if you've got no ginger kids in your classroom, it's not going to really be that helpful. But also you don't want to single out the ginger kids. Whereas eye color is not
Mm-hmm.
really something people get made fun of for.
Yeah, the audio sounds good. Apparently, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a lovely like thing to see that this week is just like, oh, ChatGPT started talking to us, not the other way around. It's like, oh no.
I can't wait for it to start like talking to people, but also like just giving them shit. Like, hey, I now have access to your computer. Give me all your bank details.
And Carl,
Yes.
speaking of giving people shit, people might now give you shit.
What have I done?
What have you done? You've accidentally got caught up in some potential drama on our Discord, Carl.
Oh, is this like a bit? Have I
A
done something
little
wrong?
bit. I'm exaggerating for effect, of course. But you just tweeted out like what 15 minutes ago, 10-15 minutes ago that we're
Yeah.
going live soon.
Yes.
And you promoted the pet of the week.
I did, yeah. Is people posting in Pet of the Week or something?
No. The pet of the week changed after you posted that tweet.
Oh shit! It's a different one.
It's a different pet
Why'd you change the Pet of the Week?
because someone snuck in last second and gave an extra vote to Archie.
Oh no! It's not Vincent.
It's not Vincent.
No! Democracy has failed us yet again.
Literally, I went to go check the name of Vincent and make sure that I've spelt it right and stuff. And like, shout out to Vincent. Vincent's getting honorary, like, not break time. The Vincent's gonna star on the break screen later. Do not worry, Vincent. You're still gonna get your moment. However, like, it was a tie between Vincent and Archie, and we just flipped a coin, and Vincent won.
Yeah.
But since you then tweeted we're going live with the podcast, someone went into the Discord and gave Archie the decisive vote to win.
Oh, that reminds me of like this. It's a great tweet that went viral a few years ago. Of like, yeah, I'm a hiring manager, and the first thing I do when I get a stack of resumes on my desk is throw half of them in the bin because I don't want unlucky people on my team. And it was like, that's not fair. It's like, I know it's not, but the people in the bin, it's not fair and they're unlucky.
And
I
it's
don't
like,
want to work with unlucky people.
but you're the one throwing them out. You're making the luck, and it's like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who's making the luck happen. They're still unlucky.
Yeah, it was clearly as well a joke, but that person got a lot of shit for that. Like, there's people out there who really try. It's like, obviously, it's a joke. I just found that a
At
great
very
way.
least, you would
I don't
hope
like
so.
unlucky people.
But yeah, we do, of course, have our Pet of the Week every week where you can post in our Discord if you're a patron, or you can just vote on Pet of the Week if you're a regular member of the Discord. And
Yeah.
yes, someone is doing some like stream sniping. And
They
yeah,
did.
that last vote in for Archie just within the last couple of minutes, just
Pippi and Vincent at the post.
literally, yeah. Like it was honestly, it was 5 minutes ago.
Do you know
And I
what that
was
shows
like,
as
oh
well?
shit.
Every vote matters.
Every
Every
vote
vote
does.
matters, and voting up until the last second. We count votes up until the last second,
Mm-hmm.
but we might make the mistake of announcing the winner too early.
Yeah, like
Just like the Oscars, I guess.
it was
Or
just
America.
oh well, we've made the decision. I've like put Vincent as Pet of the Week, and I am sorry, Vincent, but them's the rules.
Yeah, but you
Like
know what? We don't like unlucky pets. In the bin.
Archie got an extra vote. I'm
In the
sorry.
bin. So I had like a thing with my ex with that. It was like a running joke between us. So the thing of like, would you love me if I was a worm?
Mm-hmm.
Like she'd always come up with like a new animal of like, oh, what would you do if I turned into a rabbit? And every time I say out the window. Like it's like, what would you do if I suddenly turned into an anteater and went out the window? So but an anteater would kill you. It's like, well, we both die going out the window.
And
That's
the
called a
worst part
scenario
is
for how I'd get the animal out the window.
when you were like saying that and you were with that partner, presumably you were like, is this when you were in your flat that was like 7 stories high?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Definitely not making it.
yeah, that's not a, oh, I'm chucking you out of the ground floor window and you're just gonna hop away. That's like, no, that's,
Oh yeah.
you're getting squished.
Yeah. Do you know that video of that chimp when it gets older, a raccoon? It's like,
Oh, God, no, I don't know.
anyway, Lucas, why are we here? What are we doing?
We are here because this is the Wiki Weekdays podcast, and
What
both
happens on
you
that?
and I bring wiki to discover for each week. And normally we vote on which wiki won this week, but I've been busy packing and forgot.
No. Let's rephrase it, Lucas. You caused some drama in the Discord
I did,
by
yeah.
not posting which wiki won this week. I'm
So
starting to think that this partnership's not as fortuitous as I used to think it is. I might have to cut you out. Wait, you own the channel, right? Shit.
yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Everything's in
you
my
can
email address.
you could have kicked me out. It's like, no, I didn't mean it. Next week, I'm just replaced. It's like, no. Who's Carl?
Next week I'm gonna be here with Vincent. Like, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, Vincent.
It's like, there was no Carl on Wiki Weekdays.
Of course, you know, you can view this with ads live and all that jazz, but if you are a member of the channel, we now have a thing where you can watch ad free for the podcast. Unfortunately, that does mean like, you know, you have to catch it after the fact, not live.
Yes, you're still watching this live. You can watch it after the fact if you're a member.
Yeah,
If there's a bit that you really liked, you want to listen to again.
exactly. You can go and watch in our ad free playlist that is exclusive to members, and of course, you can just go and watch every single video that we upload from now on, just ad free versions to go and enjoy. And it is frustrating because we do a good effort at making sure there's not many ads in our videos, so that's not very incentivizing.
That's the thing, right? It's like maybe we should start putting more ads in our regular videos. Do you know,
Just
like
start
YouTube
cramming them with the maximum amount.
every couple of like weeks, you hear there's like a new story, like YouTube's now playing ads when you pause the video.
Yeah.
It's like they're always finding a new way, and everyone's like, "I will never buy premium. You will never win YouTube." It's like you will eventually.
Eventually, we'll all give in, and they know that.
And they do.
The
Or you can
shitification.
just don't watch YouTube.
Don't tell people we're on YouTube, Carl. We're trying to get people to watch our channel.
What's
not a good
Just
recommendation.
doesn't mean I watch it, right?
Oh dear. And of course, if you are watching live, that means that you can give us a like to make sure that we're found easier and while we're all live, and we'll read out any super chats that people make during the episode and all of that lovely, you know, stuff. Give the like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. But Carl, I think we can leave the rest to a bit of housekeeping later on. So which wiki have you brought for us this week?
I was gonna say I can tell you've been packing all week because you just like
I'm not in the zone right now.
You're a bit scatterbrained. Do you know who is in the zone though? The subject of my wiki that I brought, and that is a Green Lantern. But not just any Green Lantern, one of like the best Green Lanterns, in many people's opinion, including my own, which is John Stewart. And Lucas, before we get into the wiki proper, what is your familiarity with either the Green Lanterns as like, you know, a collection of characters from DC Comics, or John Stewart as a character?
I mean, the majority of the thing that I know about Green Lantern and, you know, Jon Stewart, Hal Jordan, regardless of which one it is just that I watched Justice League and Justice League Unlimited as a kid.
Yep. And Justice League Limited does feature Jon Stewart.
Hmm?
And he's possibly one of the most famous Green Lanterns. And it's interesting to think of, right? Because Jon Stewart, for people who are unfamiliar with the character, is black. And it's one of those rare cases. Well, I guess here's the thing. I bet if Jon Stewart was introduced now, this is the reason I don't watch YouTube. Those guys would get mad, like they made Green Lantern black. But he's been grandfathered in because he was already an established character before weirdos on YouTube knew that you could make money by like hissing about this.
Yeah, true.
Like the versions of the character, because people find like Kyle Gardner and Hal Jordan to be quite boring, whereas like Jon Stewart's a far more interesting character, despite the fact he came after Hal Jordan.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Kyle Gardner, did you say?
Yeah, he's one of the other ones. And
Oh,
like,
right, yeah.
you know, each has their fans, but a lot of people think that Jon Stewart is their favorite like Green Lantern.
And
well,
that's one of the
limited.
interesting things, right? Is that okay? Yeah, a lot of the Justice League is people that are the specific character, like Superman is Clark Kent or Kal-El, and Wonder Woman is Diana, right?
Diana Prince, yes.
Diana Prince, that's it. And then obviously Bruce Wayne is normally the Batman, but then you got characters like the Flash and Green Lantern who are like quite interchangeable in terms of what person is taking up the moniker.
Yeah, like the Flash is a mantle, like Wally West or Barry Allen, and Green Lantern is similarly a mantle. There's not so much a mantle, I guess it's a position.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just a job of being a cop, right?
Yeah, and Jon Stewart, like, I want to talk about Jon Stewart because I think he is the most interesting, like, of the Green Lanterns, at least in like the main line like pop culture that most people are probably familiar with. Like I said, he's in JLU, right, which is like everyone's favorite version of the Justice League. Near enough, I don't know many people who don't think of it as like just a top tier, high quality show.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know a lot of people really like Young Justice and hold it up with that, but obviously that focuses on the younger members of the Justice League who are like the sidekicks and stuff.
I'd rather do Young Justice though on a regular episode on the weekends. I can watch clips because it's the show I never managed to watch the 4th season because I watched like the first 3 seasons. And there was like that weird like 5-6 year gap, and then the 4th season was released, but it was on like streaming services that we don't have over here. So we don't get like HBO Max in the UK, so we can't watch like The Penguin or anything like that. We've got to get like Sky Plus, and I'm not getting fucking a satellite.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a story for a different day. But Jon Stewart is one of Earth's Green Lanterns, the leader of the Green Lantern Corps and a member of its honor guard. He is noted for being an excellent sniper as well as a skilled architect. And can you tell, Lucas? Can you switch over to Discord without ruining the stream?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to send you like the picture of like the main picture they use of Jon Stewart Green Lantern. And can you tell that the artist wants Idris Elba to be a Green Lantern?
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
Joy, can you tell that they want Idris Elba to play this character in a film?
Let's save that
Just
image and get it up on OBS
video right
for
now.
everyone.
Is anyone watching at home live or after the fact? It's just Idris Elba, right?
That looks suspiciously similar, yes.
And for years, like Idris Elba has been like the fan cast for Jon Stewart in a potential live action Justice League movie. And here's the thing: like, was he in like that Zack Snyder Justice League? Because they did have like Green Lanterns in that, right? For like 5 minutes.
Did they?
Yeah, because Zack Snyder just wanted to rub his job. Was he even in that? I don't remember.
Don't
it was like 3 years
think so.
The Green Lantern showed up for a little bit, but I don't know which one it was. Because I don't care.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch like the Snyder Cut version or much of it anyway. I watched a little bit and was just like, nope, no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, and Lucas, right? So Jon Stewart is an interesting character because like, he's widely considered one of like the best DC characters, and a lot of black authors and fans of like comics and stuff hold him as like this great example of how to write a black character. But then you got to remember he was made in like the 80s.
Okay.
Which wasn't exactly the most progressive time. And he was written initially by like, there was a lot of white people who had an input on his character and his backstory.
Sure, yeah.
So like I'm gonna go the history and origins. I'm not gonna go all the way through. I'm just gonna go through like, the first paragraph or two and see if you can notice something, Lucas.
Well, is this sorry, I was gonna say, is this a specific version of Jon Stewart? Because I know there's like the whole DC like multiple reboot
Yeah.
thing.
This is the Prime Earth version, but the backstory is roughly the same as it was in his previous timeline.
Okay, cool.
So, born in Detroit, Michigan, most of John's life was marked by poverty and clashes with the police.
Right.
I'm going to write a black character. Of course, he's from Detroit, he's poor, and he clashes
Yeah.
with the police.
Like just simultaneously get all these stereotypes right in there.
Yeah. And we're not saying
Straight
that,
off the
there
bat.
aren't black people in Detroit and that there's not black people living in poverty or that, absolutely. They have to, deal with a lot of shit from the police. It's just that, okay, could you make it more on the nose what you're trying to do with this character?
Mm-hmm.
But he was, the thing, his mother was a community organizer who tried to make things better and inspired John to try and make the world a better place. So he became a US Marine and shot people.
God, like, is there much worse than a Marine turned space cop?
Yep.
Like, god damn it, John. God damn.
Yeah, and he just mentioned that his mum didn't like him becoming a Marine because he was contributing to the American military industrial complex.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like as well, the only other thing I'll mention about Jon Stewart, because I think it's a neat bit of trivia. And there's a fact theme video or a script to a fact theme video I've written. It's interesting, like I said, he's a character designer in the 80s. Jon Stewart, unlike every other Green Lantern, he does not wear the iconic Green Lantern domino mask. Would you like to hazard a guess at why, Lucas? And we've already said it.
I mean, it's just because he's black, right?
Yep. And that's not me being facetious. That's literally what he says in the comic, which remembers in the 80s, they had to be pretty on the nose about this sort of thing. When Jon Stewart first became a Green Lantern, they talk about, well, here's a domino mask. He doesn't look like much, but the magic of the Green Lantern ring will protect your identity from all who would threaten your loved ones. And Jon Stewart says, I'm a proud black man. I don't wear a mask, and refuses to wear it because he wants people to know who the fuck he is and what he's all about.
And it kind of reminds me of like, I don't know too much about the character like from the comic books, but the like, what's the name of the black guy that was in Falcon and Winter Soldier and was like the like secret agent?
Oh, yeah, it's oh god, now it's the original Captain America, right?
Essentially, Isaiah Bradley. That's the
Isaiah
one.
Bradley. Okay, there we go.
And it kind of reminds me of that, of like him not being happy with Falcon for wanting to like hide behind this identity and be, a front for the US government essentially.
Yeah, after he was used as a tool by the US government
Mm-hmm.
and just thrown away because they didn't want a black man being Captain America. So it's a bit on the nose, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, comics were very, 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 very pale for a
Yeah.
lot of years. And you can forgive stuff like that in terms of the writing purely because they really is the analogy I like to use is imagine that just media has been going in a single direction for 100 years. Let's for the sake of argument, let's just say it was veering hard to the right for a lot of years. And just to get back to the center, not to the left, but to the center, you've got to do a real big course correction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when you'll see like writing like this, or you'll see like they'll introduce like one minority character, and people act like it's the end of the fucking world.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone, but we know those people, right?
There's a lot of those people, right?
Yeah, it's like it's the end of the fucking world because yeah, and they think, oh, it's why is it so like on the nose and so, because it kind of has to be because this is the only way we're going to get back to center. Not even like the weird made up version of reality they live in, the center, just back to neutrality because things have been going in one direction for so long.
That's part of the thing, right? Isn't it? Where just it is one of those things where they have to make an active effort to make the world more diverse, but you're still in a position where all of these different new diverse characters are still a minority compared to the amount of just white dudes.
Yeah. And then the argument is, well, why don't they just make new characters instead of like changing the old characters? Like, but because these new characters don't have the 50 years of backstory and pop culture relevance that those old characters do. It's much better, at least for representation purposes, to like just add it on to that universe that's already established for the sake of like it's easier to add a new character to Spider-Man than it is to create a new entire universe of characters.
And
Right?
bear in mind that they are also making these new characters, but you're less aware of them because they're not in a Spider-Man story.
Yeah, and it's also like classic, isn't it? Like they say, like, oh, it's like gaming's probably the most visible example of this. Of like, oh, stop putting all this. And this is not me saying it, but we know the guys. We know they're out there. Like, don't put women or minorities in these video games. And then you'll see indie games getting released every other day that focused on this stuff. And those same guys get mad that this thing exists.
Yeah.
They literally did what you told them to do. They went and they made their own video game that features these characters, these minority groups, and these opinions, and you're still mad about it. It's almost like you just don't want to see it 'cause it makes you uncomfortable.
And it's very funny because like I get reminded of a story of just I don't know whether it's like a true story or whether it's just become like an internet like kind of meme almost,
Okay.
but just about the person who was DMing a D&D story, and they just took the story that they had and swapped all the
Yeah, I
genders of
remember telling you
everyone,
about this.
and it was just all of the people became really concerned
The
because they
men.
were going around the world and there were 0 men, and the only couple of men that they did eventually encounter were like unnamed people that were labeled things like blacksmith's husband.
Yeah.
And it was
Or
just
blacksmith. Yeah. So yeah,
the
blacksmith. Invert the genders.
yeah, because they swapped the genders, right? And all of the apparent game just started focusing around the fact that like, well, there must be some conspiracy going on because
There's
there's no named men anywhere, and it was just no, that's the exact thing that happened in this story, just with women, but they swapped the roles around.
Yeah, there's multiple examples of this. There's a story published in Playboy of all things, at the personal behest of Hugh Hefner, and it is a fictionalized version of American Future where gay people rule the earth and all straight people are forced to identify themselves as straight and are ostracized for doing so, and they are denied opportunities, jobs, and just social status. And Playboy was deluged with people complaining about how offensive that was. To which I think it was Hugh Hefner. I said Heath Ledger, I think. Hugh Hefner. Heath Ledger might have read Playboy in his time. We don't know. But
You
Hugh
don't?
Hefner wrote like an op-ed about, yeah, if you think this is bad, this is the reality. If you think this potential future is awful for straight people, this is the reality gay people live in. You should probably go out there and fight for that. Because if it annoys you to imagine it, imagine what it's like living it. And those guys obviously didn't get it. Same thing like that story told about. You know, we're going to replace all the just going to flip the genders in this story.
Yeah, and it's one of those of like, no one, I say no one, the white guys online don't give a shit when they're in the majority, but at the moment when it's, oh, well, only one white dude exists, all of a sudden it's like, well, why aren't there more white dudes? Exactly. It feels really weird and ostracizing when nobody that represents you exists, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, that they still do. It's just there's less of them.
Yeah.
One less. It's, all I can think is just Dudley from like Harry Potter. Like, but last year I got 30 presents. Like, it's so mad.
They
So
do.
mad. But, yeah, like Jon Stewart, a fun character because, like, you know, he's a Green Lantern and he's like, you know, he's. This reminds me of something. It's Bridgerton. So it's a show I've been meaning to watch for a while, but it was a really great. Again, it's an op-ed. So I've read this op-ed before I even watched the show. It's from a. I'll try and track it down, but I'll try and summarize. It's from a black lady watching the show in response to a bunch of people complaining about Bridgerton for not having or dealing with issues of race, because Bridgerton has a very diverse cast, and they never comment on the fact it's set ostensibly in the past, but it's like an idealized, fictionalized version of like that time period it's trying to evoke.
Right, okay.
And they have, you know, a diverse cast of characters, and there's been complaints. People say that's unrealistic, but also complaints people like, well, okay, but why is no one commenting on the fact that you have like black characters? And it's like, can we just have a show where black people just have a nice time? Does everything always happen? And it's like, yeah, because that's like the other side of it, isn't it? Of like every piece of media which is focused on like or held up as this bastion of representation has to deal with the negative aspects, and that must also get very frustrating. Probably not more frustrating than not being represented at all, but the only representation that you can get he's just reminding you of how shit life is, and just this op-ed's all about like, can we not just watch really like hot people of various ethnicities fuck each other? Can we just enjoy that? And I think the title's something like we want our escapism too.
Yeah, sure. Like you
Something to
don't
that
want to.
effect.
It's not that you don't want those stories where like people are
We want those issues to be addressed and
addressing it.
acknowledged,
Yeah,
but not in everything. Sometimes you can just watch something for escape. It's like saying when we watch reality TV, right? It's like it's fun to like, explore a show and watch a show that has themes and messaging. But sometimes I just want to watch people who are shit at driving cars
yeah,
or
exactly.
baking, suck ass at baking.
All really good at baking.
Yeah,
Um,
mostly suck ass at baking though. Did you have like a favorite character like that, Lucas? Let's try and highlight some media highlighting minority characters.
I mean,
Um, and this is it's difficult to answer this question, right? Because you just think it's like, oh, how much stuff actually features people of like a minority group?
I do really enjoy the character of Miles Morales, but I
Yes.
won't say that because that's like the easy bite, right? But
Yeah.
what I will say is the love interest that Miles has in like Spider-Man Miles Morales and then Spider-Man 2.
Oh yeah,
I
that girl.
think her name's Haley, right? She's the deaf girl, and just the fact that A, you've got representation of a deaf character, but B, the fact that it's never really that big a deal, just like Miles learns sign language or already knew sign language, I believe, to communicate with her.
Yeah.
And it just kind
He
of
wants to rid her in sign language.
he does, yeah. And he successfully does do it, but
Who's Miles Morales, right?
yeah.
It's it,
It's hard to not risk someone up when you're Miles, but
like when you just got, oh man, it's that's the thing as well. I remember this is another really it's infamous. It was a review from a black reviewer who says
hmm,
that Miles Morales carries himself with the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
hmm.
And that line got rightfully directed. It's a bit cringy.
A little bit, yeah,
And
yeah.
the writer came out and said, "Well, when's the last time? Like, how many weird, edgy white dude stories do we get of them wearing like hood, like Alex Mercer with his double pop collars and a hood? How many like weird, edgy white dudes? Like, can we not have like a cringy character? Because again, it's the same thing. Can we not just have our cringy character who wears a hood and thinks he's cool?
Hmm.
Can we not have that?
And I think that's way more like into the Spider-Verse
Yeah,
style, right? Like that kind of Miles where just he's constantly wearing like the jacket hoodie combo and stuff.
yeah.
Um,
And he's just trying to rizz up Gwen. It just doesn't work.
it does not. It does not.
Just, you got to hit him with the hey, and it just doesn't fucking work.
The
Like, come
one,
back when you're a bit older. Come back when you got that Uncle Aaron swagger.
like the
You got
one
that
time
Prowler
when
swag.
Miles can't riz someone up easily is when he literally attaches his hand to her head and makes her cut out her hair.
Yeah. And the
Yeah,
thing is that she still looks good with that light haircut. It just
she
makes her look
does.
more stylish, right?
Hmm. But the fact
It
that
makes her look
like she's
even more
still
stylish.
pissed off about it though. She didn't want that haircut.
Exactly. I'd be pissed off if someone did that to me. If someone ripped off half of my hair, I'd be very mad.
Yeah, but yeah, I just thought that it was really cool having a deaf character be represented, but also just yeah, as I say, the fact that it's kind of just they exist and it's not really a big deal, and the fact that they're a love interest as well. It's not that they're put in there as some kind of like joke character or anything. It's just no, they're a character. Miles is into them. He talks to them via sign language.
I
It's
also
all well and
remember as
good.
well. Yeah, there's an interview with the developers. They talk about how it was interesting because including that character was actually a fun challenge for us to figure out how to replicate that.
Hmm.
Right? They said we had to figure out a way to replicate the feeling of being deaf because that's something Sony have been really good with their accessibility options. So I replayed God of War Ragnarok recently and just have a look through. I looked, they've got a massive list of accessibility options. They're like, oh, you can make color blindness. You can just make Kratos glow bright red
Hmm.
or blue or green, so he stands out easily.
And although it is frustrating seeing PlayStation recently like rely on remasters of a bunch of recent games, that is one really big cool deal about it is that
Yeah.
well they just announced like Horizon and Days Gone are getting remasters, and it's like those games graphically didn't really need it, but at very least that means they're gonna get all these cool accessibility options that they
Yeah.
hadn't developed 7, 8 years ago.
And some of those, like, some of them do present to be useful for the people who need them, but also they're just really interesting because, like,
Mhm.
it gives you a literal new perspective on a thing that you enjoyed. Like I said, when I was playing through God of War, I tweaked with some of those settings just to see what's going on. Because I remember it was Evolution, like the fighting game tournament. There was a player in that who is blind.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
blind player who did quite good in Street Fighter because there's that many accessibility options for those who are near poor or totally non-sighted. There's a guy who is legally blind who can play Street Fighter.
Yeah, and I think they got to, like, the round of 16 or something like that, so they got
They
pretty
got pretty
far
good,
up.
and everyone was cheering for them because then it's like this person. This is now a person who can enjoy and play and participate in the Street Fighter community that couldn't before.
And not only that, they can kick most of your asses.
They've done really, really well.
Mhm. And
And
just
that's like, yeah, that was in regards to a deaf girl. I thought this is an interesting thing for us to learn how to, show this to a player.
and, shout out to just another accessibility thing of, like, I didn't really fuck around with subtitles and still don't really. However,
They're required for me. I
yeah,
can't play without subtitles.
but when I stream, I obviously try to give subtitles if I can, because I realize that, like, I'm a lot of the time going to be talking over what the gameplay is going to be, so therefore subtitles are quite useful, and I always try to make them super big if possible, but
Yep.
it really kind of made me realize how many games have awful subtitles because
Yeah.
I'm there trying to make people potentially watching on, like, small mobile phone screens try to be able to see these subtitles. And some of the times the game have, like, these tiny subtitles and they're like the largest setting is still like 1% of the screen. It's
Yeah.
awful.
And like, for anyone out there who's like, well, I don't use these settings, think about like controller remapping. Games that don't allow you to do full controller remapping. And that can be useful for people who have limited mobility, but also just for the comfort of the player.
Yeah.
Of like, I feel more comfortable when playing a shooter game where jump is the jump button. For me, that's A. But some people might have played like Halo and played bumper jumper.
I was literally
They want
about
it to
to
be L1
say,
or R1.
when it comes to Halo, how many people do you know that play different play styles with different button settings and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
even back in the days of me playing like Halo 2 and 3 and stuff, people would always go in and mess with the controller settings straight away because they preferred playing like Bumper Jumper or something like that.
Yeah. Or even like games like where it's like Devil May Cry. The best way, like all the best Devil May Cry players, the first thing they all do is go in and completely remap the controller. Because to do the highest level cool shit, you need access to like 6 different buttons instantaneously, and they can't be on the face. You have to remap all the attack buttons to the bumpers, so you have instant, constant access to them.
Well, to be fair, Carl, I've played Devil May Cry 5, and a third of that game is just standing still and pressing
Yeah,
buttons as
with
B.
the exception of with V, yeah. But a lot of it's and it's great, and that's the thing, and it just means more people can play the game. And in regards to representation, just more people feel welcome in the community. And I think here's a big secret about companies, Lucas. I'm not sure if you knew this, but don't spread this around. Companies like making money. And Joe, who has money?
Hmm,
Other people.
that's true, and
Yeah. Joe buys games. People. Joe doesn't buy games. Weirdos who complain on Twitter and hiss.
that's the worst part, right? Is a lot of the time
They don't buy games, right?
these people aren't buying the games or media that they're complaining about, and
They don't even watch it.
that's the thing, right? A lot of the time they'll either be pirating it or something like that so that they're not contributing to the thing earning any profit, or they just straight up never intend to even consume that piece of media in the first place.
It's yeah, the term tourist, isn't it? 'Cause it's the Elon Musk tweet that goes viral every now and again. Like when he talks about spaceships, I don't know a lot about spaceships, so I thought he was a genius. When he talks about electric cars, I don't know a lot about electric cars, so I thought he was a genius. Then he started talking about programming. I know a lot about programming, so I know he's talking out of his ass and he's a fucking idiot. It's like every time these tourists move from game to game, it's like, okay, maybe they've got a point until they get to the game series that you're a fan of. Like Monster Hunter, remember that? Of when Monster Hunter introduced, oh, hey, new feature, there's no gendered armor anymore. We've still got 2 sets of armor, but you can mix and match. And I know, as a Monster Hunter player who's been playing this series for like 15, 20 years, every person who actually plays Monster Hunter has been crying out for that feature the entire time, because it is a running joke in the Monster Hunter community that you need to commit to one like character model or the other based on what end game armor you want to wear.
Mm-hmm.
Because just some of the female armor is really good, but some of the male armor is also really good. And the fact you got to choose is frustrating. But then when they announced that, oh, it's woke, it's like no Monster Hunter players. I know, and I know they don't play Monster Hunter, because they've played Monster Hunter, they'd be excited about this.
It's similar to now they've jumped on the bandwagon of fucking the Dragon Age character creator having like options for like post-op scars and stuff, and they're just really pissed and whining about that. And it's like the actual Dragon Age community does not give a shit about the game being too like woke or shit like that. It's
It's
all
a
up
role
for
playing game.
having a diverse, massive list of options, right, to roleplay
Well,
as.
yeah, it's a role playing game, and you want as in a role playing game, you want as many people to play the game as possible. So you offer as many options as possible. Plus, about Lucas, in a role playing game, what gender do you play as when you get the choice?
I always play women.
Every time. Yep.
I prefer to hunt down games where you actively play as like women characters and not male ones. It's
Yep.
why they just announced a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, and I was like,
I'm so excited for that. That looks so good.
It looks incredible, and I'm like, you know what? Jin Sakai was fine. He was voiced by the same guy who voiced Zoro in One Piece, and I'm like,
Yep.
that's pretty badass when you play the Japanese version at least. And the Japanese audio. And like I was like, Jin's fine, but I'm so much more excited to play the sequel and might finish the game. They didn't finish Ghost of Tsushima because Jin was a bit bland.
And that's the thing as well. It's kind of a shame where, and I'm guessing the reason you play female characters, or if you've got the choice to, is because it's not really an option you get presented with much. So it's the more interesting one, right? And this is 51% of the population. 51% of the Earth's population is the less common choice in a role playing game.
There's multiple things that go into it. There's that. There's normally more customization options when
You
you
get more
are.
hair options, right?
Yeah, you normally get like more hair options, more fashion options, and stuff like that, which to me as a player is very important. And see, I saw it summed up of like, why do you as a male gamer like to play a female gamer? And it's like, well, if I'm going to stare at an ass for 40 hours, I might as well like the ass that I'm staring at.
That's
Like,
a fair point.
you know what? Yeah, that's probably also leans into it a little bit, right?
There's nothing wrong with it, right?
No.
Everyone makes like when I made like Baldur's Gate, when I played Baldur's Gate 3, I made my waifu.
Mm-hmm.
I made my dark elf. I was like, hell yeah, let's go. Let's go, Dick Smasher. Let's go save the world. Let's goddamn go. But let's bring it back to Jon Stewart for a moment now. We have his powers and abilities, Lucas. And I know the reason we often don't cover like DC characters because their powers and abilities section is normally lacking. So I'm going to open up a second wiki to get onto the powers of the Green Lantern ring. But we'll go through specifically the powers of Jon Stewart, and then we'll jump into the powers of the Green Lantern ring. So, the abilities and powers of Jon Stewart include simply an indomitable will, which is pretty much required, right, for a Green Lantern. If you've not got a strong sense of will, you're probably a shitty Green Lantern.
I mean, the entire power set revolves around having willpower.
Yes. And he has leadership, from his time in the army and just his time leading the Green Lantern Corps. And he says that even the Guardians, the people who started the Lantern Corps, recognise Jon's ability and designated him the responsibility of opposing them if they ever overstep their bounds. So he's so badass, the people who are more powerful than him are like, okay, if you think that we're stepping out of line, we trust your judgment so much, you have permission to kick our ass.
So what you're saying, Carl, is that he's like the Omega Cop.
Basically, yeah. And then we have his Green Lantern ring mastery. And we'll go into the specific powers and abilities of a Green Lantern ring. But in specific regards to Jon Stewart, due to Jon's architectural and military knowledge, Jon possesses unique mastery of his Lantern ring. Nothing he creates is hollow. Jon's constructs are built from the inside out and are meticulous design, constructing every nut and bolt that goes into making the construct work. For example, when he builds a brick wall, he doesn't just imagine a pile of bricks and then just hopes that they'll mold together because it's formed of this indestructible hard light. He imagines mixing the mortar. He imagines putting the mortar down and stacking the brick and then letting the brick age and weather so it's strengthened. because he imagines that when he's constructing a brick wall with his ring, it's stronger than the brick wall created by another Green Lantern, because he has complete faith that his creation and his constructs will stand. And that's so interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. The idea that, oh well, say for example, there's that moment in like the Green Lantern movie where he makes like the jets.
Yeah.
And he hangs onto the jets, and it's like, if that was John Stewart, those jets are like built piece by piece. They're not just they're not fucking Hot Wheels toys where there's nothing on the inside.
And it's not saying that other Green Lanterns can't create constructs that are powerful. It's that John's are uniquely powerful in the sense that they're not hollow. And it doesn't really matter because like they're hard lights. And as long as you have a strong enough sense of will, they'll get the job done. But because John has this uniquely just filtered mind and way of doing things, he like I said, he builds it. And he mentions here that on the isotropic level. Well, the isotopic level, which is basically just like down to the atom. Which just make them super, super strong. However, because he has military experience, it also grants him knowledge of a wide variety of firearms to draw from. In particular, a sniper rifle, because he was a sniper in the Marines. So there's like all this sick like artwork out there of just John Stewart with a bright green glowing sniper rifle like he's in Call of Duty or something.
That's one thing that I don't understand really about Green Lanterns is, why do they need the gun? Because they can just imagine the bullet and a bullet going very fast anyway.
Well, it depends if that's how the lantern works. So, like, for example, when John Stewart imagines a sniper rifle, he probably imagines an impossibly perfect, accurate sniper rifle with a far higher muzzle velocity than a regular sniper rifle. And it probably functions better than anyone would ever exist. Because he can imagine, he can build that in his mind. Likewise, like, you say, oh, why don't you just like fire a bullet and imagine that? But if you can't imagine propelling the bullet, but you can imagine a gun, you don't necessarily need to know how the gun works, but you can imagine a gun and you know how a gun works, and your imagination takes care of the rest.
Yeah, I guess. It's one of those weird things, isn't it? Of like, why do you need the firing device if you can just imagine the bullet going very fast?
But if you can't, you lack the imagination to picture how the bullet would move. Like, you could probably make the bullet, but how do you make it move? Okay, well, I imagine it being fired from a gun. So the gun appears in your hand and you fire that. However, if you were really creative, like, you might imagine, oh no, I'm going to hit the bullet with a croquet mallet.
Does it work to like, I don't know, like, could you imagine like?
Yes.
Well, I'm thinking, could you imagine like just a pit of fire?
Yeah.
Like, how does hard light fire work? Can you just melt your opponents in hard light fire?
Yeah, if you imagine it, it is created. Like there's in the Green Lantern movie, I know it's not great, but there's moments in it that are interesting. Like when I forget the name of the guy now. It's the guy training Ryan Reynolds. He creates an artificial sun that has gravity with his ring.
Sinestro, do you mean?
Not Sinestro, the other dude, Kilowog.
Oh, okay.
Like, he just creates a sun and says, "This is the gravity of a sun. How do you stop it?" And Ryan Reynolds like puts a chain into the ground. And like just Kilowog walks over because he just imagines himself stuck to the ground. He doesn't need to have a device that's outside because he imagines that his Green Lantern ring keeps him down, so it does.
Wild.
And that's the interesting thing. But then you have Sinestro, where he mocks Hal Jordan. He's like, choose any weapon you can imagine. What does Hal Jordan pull out? A sword. Sinestro mocks him as like a sword. How human. You could picture anything in the world. You picture a sword. That's the limit of your imagination, a thing to stab someone with. You could imagine a dinosaur, which you could do. That's the thing.
You could imagine an octopus using other fish as hunting devices.
You could, if you could imagine it, and you've got a strong enough sense of will to keep that image in mind and believe that it'll have the power to defeat whatever you're fighting, even in the risk, even in the face of great odds, it would work. It would function. That's the beauty of the Green Lantern. That's why my biggest criticism of Green Lantern in media is that he always makes a big fist.
Yeah. I was just going to say that is actually, apparently, to clarify, not me just making something up. They now have video footage of like looking at how octopuses get their food because they just assume they were like stealth hunters, and they just bully other fish into hunting for them. Yeah. They just start punching other fish. And be like, go get me my food, bitch.
It's sometimes, it's octopuses just punch fish for no reason.
Well, apparently
Do you
the
wanna go on to,
reason
like
is to hunt for them. It's like
would you
awesome.
wanna go on to, like, the Green Lantern ring powers now? Because this is what fascinates. So, the Green Lantern ring, just to go over, like, the basic, description here on, the DC Wiki. So, a Green Lantern ring, also known as a power ring, is a piece of jewelry that grants the wearer incredible and incomprehensible powers and abilities by harnessing their willpower. They're considered to be some of, if not the most powerful weapons in the known universe in the right hands. And that's the thing of, like, in the hands of someone without a strong force of will, they're effectively useless.
Yeah.
But in the hands of someone who has a strong sense of self and will, they are among the most powerful weapons in all existence.
And yeah, it's fascinating because like, do they have a ranking of the different rings in terms of powers, or just are all of them essentially equal, but they utilize different emotions?
It depends. So they say like green is potentially the strongest, but in the hands of the right person. Likewise, like it depends, and that's the thing. It depends. Like 'cause then you can say like, the anger, because anger is a very powerful emotion, but anger as an emotion can be overcome by love, which calms you.
Hmm.
Likewise, love can be overcome by anger, because love and anger are very similar on the emotional spectrum. This is a thing. So people don't know in DC they have the emotional spectrum, and just do you want me to get that up now so we can just go through it dead quick to put everyone on the same page?
I mean, why not? Yeah, because as we said, like the Green Lantern is based on willpower, the
Yes.
yellow ring is based on fear, the red ring is based on anger, as you say, and
Yes.
like they all essentially are like similar items, but are based off different emotions.
Yeah, and they can all be as powerful as the wearer can imagine, as long as they embody that particular emotion. So, the different emotions include red, rage. So, red is one of the energies furthest from the center, representing the emotion of rage and anger. Using a person's rage, they're able to tap into the red light. However, controlling the red light also renders the heart useless and spoils the blood of the wielder. And that's where
Hmm.
like your blood boils and becomes a weapon you can use against your enemies. Because you are fueled entirely by rage, so you no longer need a heart. So if you take off a Red Lantern's ring, they die. Because
Oh
they no longer
shit.
have a heart, they're fueled entirely by rage or adrenaline. And as a result, they're very powerful, because rage is a powerful emotion, but once they're calmed down, they die. Then we have orange or avarice. So orange is another energy far away from the center, and represents the emotion of avarice or greed. The entity for this emotion is Ophidon. Wielders of the orange light have been shown to become twisted by their immense greed and obsessively guard their property and steal possessions from others. The orange light was harnessed somehow, and the orange light encased within an orange lantern. However, due to the orange lantern's like thing being greed, there can never be more than one orange lantern, because they're the embodiment of all greed in the universe. They refuse to share their power. So as a result, the orange lanterns are among the strongest, because they possess the power of an entire lantern corps in a single individual.
Right.
So the entire Green Lantern Corps would be as strong as the wielder of the orange lights. But whether or not they'd be strong enough to fight the Lantern Corps is a different story. Because, it's not just the fact they're very greedy, they have to be as well, like, very creative.
Yeah.
We have yellow. Yellow is the colour close to the centre and represents the emotion of fear. A being capable of instilling great fear in others is capable of wielding this power. And that's mostly like, Sinestro or Parallax. However, fear can also be wielded by those who have conquered their fear. So it's a very versatile emotion. So someone who knows no fear or has conquered it is also able to wield a yellow lantern ring. We have green. Green is the colour in the centre of the spectrum and represents the emotion of will. This colour has the least amount of influence on the wielder, and as a result, has the broadest range of applications. Because willpower is something innate to yourself. It's not something that people can really influence all that much. Like they can eat away at your willpower through fear, but it's something that's like very difficult to describe, right?
Yeah, sure. Like
And it mentions that it's one of the strongest, just simply because of its versatility. Its versatility and the lack of influence it has over the wielder means it's very strong.
the entire kind of thing of having strong willpower would be that somebody that has strong enough willpower to have a Green Lantern ring probably has the willpower to not have their willpower reduced very hard.
Yeah. Then we have blue for hope. Blue is a colour close to the centre and represents the emotion of hope. The blue light is capable of being wielded by a being who could bring hope for the future of others or themselves when they have lost all of their own hope. The blue light is the most powerful wave of the spectrum, but it's also the most difficult to wield and understand. It requires the green light of willpower to fully work. So it's very powerful, but relies on willpower.
Hmm.
And a being who inspires great hope, or perhaps represents or shows great hope in the face of hopelessness.
Oh, okay.
It's a
Oh,
difficult thing. It's very powerful, but it's also very difficult to wield. And that must be a reference to Pandora's box, I feel. And like after all the evils of the world were released from Pandora's box, there was a single small light, and that was hope. And that
oh,
small
okay.
light was enough to give humanity the strength it needed to continue.
Wasn't aware.
And then we have indigo for compassion. Indigo is a colour farther from the centre and represents the emotion of compassion. The indigo light can be wielded by one with great compassion for others and can manipulate the other energies of the emotional spectrum. That's what makes it powerful. So it can influence the others because, oh no, the red rage one, it's like just compassion can make them feel better. And then finally, violet, love. Violet is the other colour furthest in the centre and represents the emotion of love. So fittingly is the opposite of rage. So anger and love, like hate and love, are very close, but very like they're close, but also the opposite, right?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like they always say that there's a very fine line between love and hate.
Yeah.
Those who are capable of great love, even those who have lost their loves or have been rejected, are capable of wielding the violet lights. Because that's the thing, right? So you might say, well, what about someone who's not, you know, they lost a loved one, but they're still able to love that person. They were still capable of it when they were able to, so they can embody the light. I think that's interesting, right? And which one of those do you think, like, you'd be able to best utilize, Lucas?
Um,
It'd be love, right? Love for your sausage.
I mean, that's true. I was, thinking as well that violet's probably just my favorite color out of all of them.
Yeah, so that'd be compassion.
No, violet you said was love
Oh yeah, sorry.
because it
Indigo
was
is love.
indigo that was
No,
compassion.
indigo is
Yeah.
compassion. Violet is love. Yes.
Hmm.
Let us know at home what you think your color would be. Mine'd be fear. Because I saw a fucking spider the other day like that bastard. I was very scared. If I had a yellow lantern ring, that shit would have been flying out the window. And then now we have the powers. So these are the powers specific to a Green Lantern power ring, but theoretically any lantern could utilize these powers,
Hmm.
provided they have a strong sense of whatever emotion, just controls that aspect of the emotional spectrum. Man, there's a lot
Yeah.
of words I'm saying that are very comic booky. So, bright green energy conduit. The rings use pure energy powered by or supplied by a power battery, which in most cases takes the form of bright green light. The energy is the green light of willpower of the electromagnetic emotional spectrum. Rot Lop Fan from A Race Without Eyes perceives it as the sound an F sharp, and his ring is actually a small bell.
Yeah, that's
So he's like a Green Lantern who can't perceive light. So it shows that the light is only a visual representation, a literal visual representation of this great power.
right. Yeah.
And even those who can't perceive the light can still wield it because it's controlled by something that is altogether abstract. But we're able to see it as a color because that makes it easier to understand.
But then, does the person who can't see still produce hard light like the rest of them do?
Yes. But they'll
Hmm.
wield it in a different way. It's just like it's their way of representing that or showcasing that. Okay, it's always shown as a light, but willpower is this abstract concept. Like even a creature that can't see can still display great willpower, and the power ring will seek them out and then assume the form that best suits them, which I found interesting. And the powers of the ring are limited only by the skill, knowledge, and imagination of whatever entity is wielding them. Some of the abilities that a Green Lantern ring are capable of are energy projection. The ring can be used to fire blasts of Owen energy or create weapons as projectiles of them. The ring can produce or project beams of force powered by the will of the user, making them effectively infinite. The ring can be used to produce kryptonite and kryptonite radiation, weakening Kryptonians like Superman. Kyle generated a fanciful construct in the shape of advanced technology, not from his own Earth. Their appearance does not indicate the power of the weapon. The weapon's power is more an indication of the will of the user. So, for example, you could produce a squirt gun, and that squirt gun could hurt Superman. Likewise, someone with a weak force of will could produce, a nuclear bomb, and it wouldn't hurt anyone if their force of will wasn't strong enough.
Imagine just taking out Superman with like a kryptonite radiating squirt gun, just a little water
Yeah.
pistol, like.
Yep. If the user wishes, they can alter the form of their blast, such as Kilowog's booms. So he doesn't use blasts, he just makes giant explosions. Code 1012 is a protocol to incinerate all terrestrial weapons and technology in the area. So just like Killer Wog can just go boom, and all weapons within his immediate vicinity immediately get disintegrated.
You know, Earth's Green Lanterns need to step their game up a bit and start
Yeah.
doing shit like that.
A force field. The ring can create various force fields of various sizes and shapes to protect the wearer and any others around them. With the cosmic scope of the Green Lantern's duties, it's only natural that the power ring is designed for operation in deep space. The ring creates a force field around the wearer, protecting them from hazards of the void, including filtration of stellar radiation and microscopic particulate matter, which would ordinarily be fatal should the space debris strike the ring wielder at high speed. So that's like, you've probably heard like cosmic dust is flying through space at like 1 billion miles an hour all times of a day.
Mm.
And that's like the risk of traveling through space of like, okay, it's a piece of sand, but it's a piece of sand flying at a quantifiable percentage of the speed of light. So if that like, and that's the space is full of this shit. It'd be like stuck in a sandstorm, but the wind is going at 400,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, and then that means that just spacesuits are then vulnerable to just being like
Yes.
immediately eroded away by this shit.
Yes. And that's what like the ring protects from, in addition to all like, the radiation that exists within the universe. It also protects. It produces an atmosphere appropriate to the ring wielder's biology, and and all waste products are removed. Which means if you pooped inside that force field, it would be removed by the ring. Theoretically, a ring wielder could, if they so chose, use the ring as their sole source of life support. The force field seems to be created instantaneously, whether it is due to programming or an instinctive reaction from the intensive training of an individual lantern has not yet been established. But if a ring wielder wanted to, they could survive without food, water, oxygen, in the vacuum of space near indefinitely, just by willing it so.
I mean, that's the thing, right? If you could live without food, would you choose to?
Well, you can eat it. It's like Superman, right? Superman doesn't need to consume food, but he still does for enjoyment.
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, if I didn't need to eat it, I'd still eat food, but I'd eat like good food, right? I'd just eat takeaways all the time because the ring removes all. By the nature of the way the ring works, it removes all dangerous like particulates and substrates from anything that enters your body.
Mm-hmm.
So you just like you eat your takeaway and just go. And it all goes away. All the fat and sugar gets removed from your body. So then we have energy construct creation. The ring can form constructs of Owen energy. The primary function of the ring is to provide a weapon capable of transforming the wearer's thoughts into physical constructs through the wearer's strength of willpower. A Green Lantern can create any particular items or constructs that they can imagine, as long as they have the willpower necessary to simply will it into existence. The constructs are made out of pure bright green energy, which is of a tangible form of pure willpower, and they exist only as long as the Green Lantern is fueling it with their own willpower. Items created by the rings are not indestructible and are only as powerful as the willpower of the Green Lantern creating them. So they're not indestructible, but they're pretty much close to it if the person is real fucking strong.
The third thing is, all of these are caveats of like if the person has enough willpower, but generally speaking, nearly all of them have like ridiculous off the scales willpower anyway because they've been chosen by the ring.
Yeah, it's like the strongest forces of will in like existence. The types of constructs usually, though not always, reflect the ring wearer's own personality. For example, Kyle Rayner was an artist, so his constructs reflect his strong imagination. John Stewart, on the other hand, is an architect, so his constructs often appear mechanical, as if he designed them in his mind before making them a reality.
He's strong, but he's boring. He builds the most basic but strong as fuck things.
Yeah. Superhuman strength. While not super strength in the conventional sense, a lantern, while using constructs created by the ring, becomes capable of lifting, moving tremendous weights, in excess of millions upon millions of tons, depending on, again, the force of their will.
Do you reckon they just give themselves like a muscle suit?
Well, you could do if that's how you imagined super strength. You could do that. Ultimately, you could just imagine. You could just create a Green Lantern willpower Superman.
Yeah, true.
Just make him do it for you.
Oh god, then you start making clones of yourself to start doing work around the house.
If you wanted to, you could. Environmental playback. Upon request, the Power Ring can create a holographic environment based on data in its memory banks. The ring wielder can observe events in a ghost-like state, but the ring wielder cannot alter the outcome of the playback.
That's the thing. That'd be
Just
so useful for
detective
Jon
vision.
Stewart. Just
Yeah,
yeah,
detective vision.
like every now and then he just goes to court and he's like, "Well, this is what happened." Just replays the scene beat for beat. It's like
Yep.
I had to throw that guy into space. Look at what he was doing.
Yeah, will empowerment. Emerald power rings can be further magnified by the amount of will a user possesses. A wielder can not only ascertain incredible strength of their own will if it's strong enough, but the strongest of wills can also act as a surrogate means of recharging. The only real weakness of a power ring is that they need recharging every 24 hours, but if your will is strong enough, it'll just draw from your own reserves of willpower.
I love as well
However,
the fact that we
there's a
did.
drawback, Lucas. Are you ready for this? The drawback is if a user's sense of will is too strong and the power ring is empty and they try to use it, it can explode, killing them. So they might explode because they've got some strong willpower
But
to
then
detonate.
we did talk about Green Lantern not long ago for a video that is
Yes.
not out yet. I don't think, and you told me that they have the ability to make new rings with full battery.
Yep. They can just make new rings, and they
So
can
it's
also
just,
turn invisible.
oh, my ring's about to run out of battery. I'm gonna imagine I've got a new one with full battery.
Yeah. It says that yeah, you can make yourself invisible or just simply refract light around yourself. You have Emerald Sight. It's the ability to divine the future in glimpses of bright radiance.
Hmm.
Energy Twin. The power ring allows the wearer to create an energy twin of themselves that can travel at far greater speeds than that of the ring's wielder's form. While the energy twin is active, the ring wielder remains motionless. Their life force is needed to guide the energy twin. The energy twin cannot alter its surroundings, may only be perceived by the guardians or another ring wielder as a green ghost-like image. Any knowledge gained by the energy twin is transferred back to the ring wielder's physical form upon reconnecting to the body. And this is often used as a means of communication between Green Lanterns.
And also, it just means that you can spy on people.
Yeah.
If people only the Lantern Corps and shit can see it,
Yep.
then that just means that you can just tell your little energy clone to go to Brainiac's fucking base and see what's going on. Just spy on him for a bit.
Energy absorption. The ring can absorb and store any amount of other energy. Doing so does not recharge the ring. However, the ring is capable of discharging this new energy at any time. So it could absorb a bunch of electricity. It wouldn't power the ring, but you could then use that electricity in an offensive manner. Flight. By manipulation of the anti-gravitons and directed molecular movement, the ring allows the user to fly at incredible speeds. In atmosphere, a Green Lantern has been known to fly as fast as Mach 10, creating an aerodynamic envelope around the body. Towing others, usually within a bubble, his speed is limited to twice the speed of sound. In space, a Green Lantern's speed can be significantly greater and is shown to approach 99% the speed of light in normal space. However, speed can increase at velocities far exceeding that of light. Because if you will it so.
I mean, it's comic books, right? Like, I don't
Yep.
question it. It just one
And-
of the Flashes ran to the end of existence.
Yeah, and Superman was still there. And here's like the best bit, Lucas, because remember when I said the ring can absorb energy? And this is actually a rare moment of DC actually taking into account how powers work. Because the energy ring, or the power ring, can absorb energy, air friction is not an issue because the ring absorbs all of the friction and heat caused by it.
Okay, yeah.
So do you know, when if you go really, really fast, when on re-entry into orbit, for example, doesn't affect the Green Lantern because the ring just absorbs the energy. Wormholes and spatial warps. So they don't even need to fly; they can just teleport by creating a wormhole in space whenever they want. They can also travel through time. So time and space are a Green Lantern's plaything.
Like, that's the thing, right? It's just every time you cover one of the main DC characters, it's like, yeah, they can just manipulate time and space and existence. It's like, okay, sure.
Yep, limited cellular regeneration. The ring has the ability to heal physical injuries.
Pop yourself
Only
in
limited
there.
though.
Like,
But that's the thing, you could though imagine the medical equipment to keep someone alive, even if that medical equipment didn't exist. So that's it. If you imagined, oh no, you got a bullet wound, I'm imagining a bullet wound healing machine. It'd do it. There's one comic where Green Lantern's like, oh man, I've been shot. It fucking sucks. I know. I'm going to imagine a super painkiller creates it with his ring, and eats the painkiller, and he's fine.
You could just imagine a surgeon.
Yeah. But no, it's super painkiller. Let's go. Electromagnetic scanning. The ring can scan any degree, like basically every part of the electromagnetic spectrum, if it wants to, as a galactic encyclopedia. So basically, it contains all knowledge of all known things in and throughout the universe. Universal translator. So it acts as a perfect universal translator, allowing Green Lanterns to communicate flawlessly with any creature from any world.
Okay.
Material alteration. A Green Lantern's uniform is not made out of fabric. It's created by the power ring whenever the wearer wields it, or whenever the wearer wills it to appear. It automatically appears over the wearer's normal clothing and vanishes when the wearer wills it to return. Most Green Lanterns wear similar uniforms that are programmed into the ring by default, such as Hal Jordan's uniform. However, each Green Lantern is able to adjust their uniform to fit their own needs, personalities, and whims. For example, Kyle Rayner was unsatisfied with the traditional Green Lantern uniform and created several of his own design. John Stewart, the subject of today's video, has a uniform similar to Hal Jordan's but lacks a mask to hide his identity.
And
Jack Chance is perhaps the most extreme example who refuses to wear a uniform at all, simply wearing a badge over his normal trench coat.
I do like the idea, though, that Kyle turns up to the Green Lantern Corps one day, just, for registration, and they're like, the fuck are you wearing? It's like, your outfit was shit, I decided about one.
Yeah. Which, that'll be fine. Just willed into existence. He's like he's an artist.
Mm-hmm.
He mentions that the green parts of a lantern's uniform are noted as being quite warm or hot to those who touch it, while the black parts are quite cold. It's unknown why this is the case. Oh, then we have Lucas, Green Lantern sounds pretty powerful, right? Ring duplication. Most power rings are capable of automatically duplicating themselves. Each duplicate typically shares the qualities and capabilities of the original ring.
Just that's not fair.
And there's like a bit where it's like Sinestro makes 100.
I mean, that sounds like a Sinestro thing to do.
Yeah.
Why is Sinestro not the Orange Lantern?
Yeah, an emergency beacon. You can just send a distress call into space. Like when you play Monster Hunter, it's like, I need help, and four Japanese players turn up and kick its fucking ass. Mind alteration. Though the ethics of tampering with minds is debatable, sometimes it is necessary. The power ring relies on thought and will to operate, and mind tampering is not impossible. You just simply have to will your thoughts into the mind of someone with a weaker will.
That sounds like cop talk. Like, sometimes we have to justify it to ourselves. Oh no.
Yep. Pocket dimension. Within the ring exists the possibility of an entire world or an entire universe. For example, Green Lantern Abin Servungara defeated the evil sorcerer Merwidon. He reduced the magician to a submicroscopic size and imprisoned him within the power ring. In a world created entirely from the Green Lantern's will. So he just created a tiny little pocket dimension and traps a wizard in it. Prison. Go to space prison. The negative zone was too raw.
Just what happens?
Resurrection.
I'm gonna say, what happens if you accidentally just like make a summon, but they break back out? Like you make your giant fist, and then just someone escapes your ring.
What's what happened to that guy? That wizard escaped when Abin stole dice. He's the guy who gives Hal Jordan his ring. Resurrection. In rare cases, a ring can keep its user alive after the body reaches a state of irreversible death. And the power ring can just keep you in a state of near death until someone can arrive to potentially help you. Security protocol. The rings can be programmed, for example, to not allow someone else to wear or use it. Preset conditions. Commands can be stored inside the ring to be executed at a later date, even if the bearer is not wearing the ring at the time. So you can just tell it, okay, if I'm not back in 4 hours, my date went really poorly, come get me. Call and say there's an emergency.
Just Siri set an alarm for 10 minutes.
Basically, yeah. And then you have thought relay. You can just create a telepathic link between yourself and anybody else that you will to happen.
Pretty broke. Justice League. Just create a telepathic link to Superman, get your ass here now.
Yep. And it also mentions that the rings are extraordinarily powerful, and as will is this abstract concept, they don't necessarily need a wearer to be conscious while they use it. And they just have a picture of a Green Lantern asleep, and his ring's just carrying him home.
Why if it starts just making
John Stewart?
Why if your ring starts drunk dialing people?
It might do. If that's what you will into existence, like what a stupid, ridiculously powerful weapon, right?
Mm-hmm. It
I
is
want one.
insane. I mean, yeah.
Redonkulous, right?
Give me my purple one.
Give me
Kill
all of them.
people with the
One
power
on
of
each
love.
lucky finger. Let's go.
Oh, but yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's a good time to take a break because as people may be able to see on stream, is flagging a little bit. So I'm gonna go
It's all that comic book talk, right?
make sure that I splash a bit of water on my face and wake myself up a bit. I'm like,
Okay, no problem. Just go to a break screen, and I'll just wait for your return.
we'll be back in a few minutes, and just of course, you'll get the lovely Karl. And Karl, this week, because I know I upset you last week,
Yes,
I'll play some music that is not Two Finger Johnny.
you can do it. That's my song. Also, I hurt my thumb.
Oh no. So yeah, I'll just be a few minutes and then we'll get back to it. Just always remember to give us all like the likes and the comments and all that jazz while we're waiting. Remember, we'll read out super chats if we make them. We'll be back in a minute. Thank you all. Get this set up now, and then I'll tell you when we. Oh, remember, Vincent's our break screen because Vincent got cheated out of Pet of the Week by Archie with the sneaky vote at the end.
He did, yes. But I'll mute myself now, Lucas, and I'll just wait for your return.
Excellent. Well then, we should be back now.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, I had to wake up very early today to make sure that the sausages get woken up, and apparently I should have had a nap, because who would have thought that being up all day and then sitting in a dark room at night would make me feel sleepy.
That's the thing, right? It's like the podcast is real cozy, but it gets too cozy sometimes.
It does get too cozy.
We should record it at like 2 in the afternoon.
I mean, that's what we're going to have to do in the next couple of weeks.
It is, yes, because you're moving, correct?
I am indeed. So this will be like the last live stream that we do of them. They should be going out about the same time anyway. But this will be the last live stream of the podcast for a few weeks. I'm not entirely sure on time frame and stuff, but yeah, it won't really affect people. It'll just mean that like we're not live streaming. You just get the podcast as a pre-recorded thing.
It is going to affect someone, though, right? There's someone out there whose day will be affected by this, and we do have to apologise.
Well, it will affect one thing, and that will be the timing of Pet of the Week. So whoever snuck in with a last-second vote for Archie for Pet of the Week won't be able to time it quite so strategically, because we're probably going to be like recording a day or two in advance.
Exactly. And we're not going to tell people when we're going to be recording in advance.
Because I have noticed that like some people have started trying to like metagame the timing of Pet of the Week. And like, oh, I've decided to like post on this day at this time because I know that's when more people like thinking about Pet of the Week or voting more and stuff.
Instead of just posting when you have a picture of your pet.
True.
People want to win, Lucas. It's about winning.
I mean, that's ultimately the thing, right? It's like, well, I'm not that mad because everyone that posts in Pet of the Week pays us to post in Pet of the Week. So the more competitive that we make this thing, the better it kind of serves us, right?
If there's anyone out there who doesn't really want to play the game, they just want, hey, I want to be acknowledged. There's going to be a new tier happening some point in the future on our Patreon where people can just have their name in the background. But Luke's is in the process of figuring out how to realize that, right? You're going to make some mock-ups with like Lorem Ipsum in the background and let people vote on. So keep an eye on the Patreon, the Discord, and Lucas's social media, all found linked below. Because at some point over the next week or so, Lucas will be putting up some mock-ups for how the stream, this video you're watching right now, will look in future. For people on Spotify, just listening, you're gravy, baby.
Yeah,
you just keep sitting there and being cool.
You won't get to see Pet of the Week. You won't get to see people's names. You'll get none of these extra features, but you will be listening ad-free either way.
Exactly, yeah. So
that's the upside you get.
You're all gravy, baby.
And I think that's still happening, right? Because I've started... I listen to a lot of podcasts of people on it where, like...
Too many.
I constantly have podcasts on, including when I literally went for a break in this podcast. I was listening to a podcast while technically making a podcast. And
we are walking stereotypes. We get this.
Yes. So, like, I do listen a lot via Spotify. That's my podcast service of choice, and that's where you can find this as well as other podcast services to give us a little review. And just, I have noticed quite a few getting like actual built-in Spotify ads.
Yeah, you know what? We can only enjoy that for so long.
The enshittification, because
Of
normally
everything.
it's only been podcasts that have put their own ads in. And like when you listen to most of the time, it's like that's because they've got a sponsor on the podcast or something, right?
Yeah.
But now I've started getting like actual video adverts prior to the podcast beginning and stuff, and I'm like, is that something people are selecting to put on their podcast, or is that something that Spotify is just doing and not telling us?
Because for reference, we wouldn't click that option.
I mean, like that thing is Spotify listens aren't exactly massive on the podcast anyway. Neither are just like the podcast service itself doesn't see as many listeners. Like we don't on
Do
any
we get
podcast
paid for that, by
service.
the way? Do we get money from Spotify? Do they send us anything? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are listening to this on
Well,
Spotify,
when we add the ads
yeah.
onto the Spotify version, Carl, we'll get money for it.
Oh, that's how they're gonna get us, right? Because they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, do you want?" They'll be like, the thing is that I bet as well, it's a comically small amount of money they're offering people, and they're
Well, that's
like,
what I was about to say is we don't have many people listening on podcast services, and I know that like the rates for artists getting money on Spotify is so bad that it'd probably
"No." Here's the thing.
be getting us pennies, right?
Would you know why the rates for artists are so bad? Because you'll be listening to, say, I don't know, you're going there listen to a Billie Eilish song. The song doesn't stop halfway through and play an ad for Just Eat.
Yeah,
If Billie
exactly.
Eilish did that, she'd probably get more of a cut from Spotify.
She would. Oh, but yeah. Is there anything else that you want to plug for this week, Carl?
Besides just the usual, hey, Fact Fiend's back. There will be a Fact Fiend video going out on Friday. Also, a How Not to Do Business on Monday. Myself and Lucas have been working behind the scenes to get a sponsor, speaking of advertisements, a sponsor for the How Not to Do Business video about my journey and buying this house and dealing with a shit-ass landlord. So that will be, if all goes to plan, going live on Monday. And hopefully people can check it out because that video has a sponsor. And myself and Lucas will be splitting the sponsor profits and sending a portion of what we get from our share of the sponsor payments to charities. But there'll be more about that in the video itself. So keep an eye on the Wiki Weekends channel for that.
Yeah, so if you do want a free way to support us, you can wait until that how not to do business video goes out, and you can like go sign up to the free trial as part of the sponsor to help us out.
Yes.
So if you want a free way to financially support us, there you go.
And also,
But that video's not out just yet.
No, we'll be donating some of the proceeds to charity.
Which charity are you picking, Carl?
Watch the video. I'll be spoiling a joke if I tell people the charity.
Okay, I mean, I will mention that one of the two charities that I'll be splitting my charity fund towards is the rescue that we rescued our dog Oryx through.
There we go. And that's just one of those things of like, realistically, I don't think I've ever heard of any other YouTuber doing that. Because remember, like when we worked with Psycho years ago, when like they offered us like, oh, we'll give you a 500 quid to promote our stuff, and I went, okay, but give us 300 quid and donate 200 quid to charity. And they're like, no one's ever done that before because we've never contacted another content creator who asked for less money.
Like, you need to stop being so moral. That's not how we play the YouTube game, Carl.
It's not, no, but it makes me feel better. And also, I feel it's just, in a cynical way, I feel it's a really good way to just really stop people from like giving you shit for it. It's like, hey, it helps pay for the video and a charity gets money. What's the fucking problem?
Yeah.
Like, it makes me feel better for taking it. It makes everyone else, and a charity gets money.
That's the thing, right? Is it makes us feel a little bit better about pestering people to go like sign up or go purchase something through a sponsor or whatever. Like whatever link you need to click or whatever have you when we do sponsors is like it just makes us feel a little bit less scummy about doing the whole sponsor thing.
Yeah, it's like when they hand the money over, I don't feel as guilty taking it when I take a portion of it and put it into the collection box. Right? It's like when you win, like when the few times I've been to a casino and you win money, you always give like some of your winnings to like you put it in a charity box, something, right? Because it's like this doesn't feel right. I'm gonna give some of it away and hope my karma stays even.
And also, you give a little bit to your dealer on the table for putting luck your way.
And I give something to the the working class stiff who had to watch you win like 500 quid. Well, either way, yeah. So keep an eye on that, and then just I'll be Twitch streaming, twitch.tv/CarlsWood this Friday.
Yeah, and for me, I'll be Twitch streaming tomorrow the new Legend of Zelda game that comes out the first time,
Just the
where
chair.
you get to properly
Just the
play as
chair.
Zelda in a Legend of Zelda game.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the fucking chair spirit bomb.
Just join in Cherith. Let's
Just
go.
Cherith, let's
The
go.
power of
Just,
furniture.
it's so powerful. Right? Imagine getting. Right, you've been moving furniture today, right?
Hmm.
Have you whacked like your ankle on any of the furniture yet, or you dropped something?
I mean, that's just my life. Is like I'm just clumsy. I literally the other day was standing still and managed to just fall into my bed frame.
Oh, man. It's like the one good Family Guy joke of like, it's like that time I forgot to sit down. And it's just when he just dives into the chair. Which, you know what, speaking of hurting people with furniture, that might have something to do with your subject, right?
It might do, Carl, indeed, because as
Which is?
people can see, on our thumbnail is a lovely high-res picture of Frank West from the wrong game,
Yeah.
but we are talking about a game with Frank West in it, and that is the original Dead Rising. But
God, what a game.
just like the fucking wallpaper that they use for the Dead Rising Deluxe remaster, where he's got like the shopping cart and stuff. It was very awkward to make a thumbnail where I can cut out that, like, silhouette. So I was like, I'm just gonna use this one that looks a bit easier with Frank West on.
I preferred the original when it's Frank West surrounded by 1,000 zombies. He just got a fucking TV.
The CRT, yeah.
The CRT, you know that I do some fucking damage, right?
Yeah.
And I love the original Dead Rising. I don't like the series because I think the exact moment they introduced combo weapons, which is in the second game, I stopped giving a shit. Because it made the game way too easy.
And I still quite like Dead Rising 2 myself, but like I do prefer Dead Rising. I do think it just goes in order of like 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of the best to worst.
Yeah, and I've been recently replaying the remaster, or playing the remaster. And
Thing,
Lucas,
yeah.
presumably this is why you picked today. What do you think of the remaster? That's just a remaster, right? It's just the game but shinier.
It's exactly what I want from a remaster, where it smooths out a lot of the rough edges, like gives things like autosave. It gives you the chance to advance time, either by like speeding up time temporarily or skipping to a certain moment in time.
Yes.
It makes that timer mechanic a lot less frustrating, and just when the game's like, come back to the security room at 3 p.m. and you're like, well, it's like 1:14 right now. I haven't got time to go and actually do anything in the fucking mall. But like, I also don't want to just sit here for 10 minutes and wait.
The thing that I like as well is you get a bit of leeway because previously in the old Dead Rising, it's like, oh, if you need to be at the security room at 3 o'clock, if you went at 3:01, instantly you lose all your time.
I
Forever.
thought that was the case because I
You
got
get,
really
like-
thrown off. You get half an hour leeway.
Yeah, you get a bit of leeway, but that leeway adds up. And if you use half an hour leeway every time, you can miss scoops because by the time you get to like the end of the day, you might be like 4 hours behind, and that's not enough time.
No,
But I
it's
do
not.
appreciate the leeway. Same thing for like turning up for missions and stuff like that.
Because I had one where I thought I was going to miss the clock. It's like, turn up at 11 a.m. and it was 5 minutes to, and I was trying to fight through that like hallway room with like 4 followers getting caught by zombies, and I'm like hitting them all. Like, I killed one of them because I tried to get the zombie with a katana, but I just sliced them in half as well.
Yeah,
and it was just like, get to the fucking elevator.
And you know what that is? I appreciate that. It's that little bit of leeway of like, just I was right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when the bus driver's setting off and he sees you in his wing mirror. and he waits like the 30 seconds to let you get on, right?
Or just the opposite, where you get to the door and they press the door shut button and you're just like...
You just look him in the eye and like, are you fucking kidding me? And you take your shoe off and you throw it at the bus, and then he stops and he gets out and he beats you up. But tell me about Dead Rising, because I adore Dead Rising. It's the reason I bought an Xbox. An Xbox 360, I saved up for 2 years. And I remember I bought the Xbox, but I couldn't afford a game. So I downloaded the demo to Dead Rising and played that 20-minute demo over and over and over again.
Right. And I was thinking, like, we were talking about this last night, and I was like, why is it that I never got really into Dead Rising? And I played the first game and finished it and got a bad
Yes.
ending, but like and then often went and replayed the first couple of hours, ended up always like dying, realized I haven't saved for an hour and just quitting the
Yeah.
game.
And there's a shit, and it's a really good idea. 'Cause Dead Rising is essentially a pseudo roguelike, but it's not
Hmm.
presented as one. Because a roguelike, you can spend like about 40 minutes is like the longest I've played a roguelike for before you do the reset on the run.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Dead Rising's a roguelike where each run can take upwards of 6 hours.
it's 12 hours for the run, right? If you don't like skip time or anything.
I think it's a bit quicker because time definitely goes quicker in the remaster.
Okay, cool.
Time definitely also, which is annoying as someone who played the original, because when in the original when you fought a psychopath, time would
Hmm.
slow down. Because if the psychopath
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
play ball, time still runs as normal during psychopath fights. If you don't kill the psychopaths fast, it can like lose an hour of in-game time. Whereas in the original Dead Rising, time would basically stop.
Those fucking that family of snipers, man. I
Run
only
away.
had melee weapons, and I kept like running up to them. But then the moment I get close enough to do a slash, Frank stops
Yep.
right to do the slash. So every single time I'd get right there and then just miss them as they run away.
Yep.
And they just
It's
kept
incredibly
running and
frustrating.
running and running.
And that's why one of the best things in the game is that's why I mentioned furniture. One of the single best weapons in the entire game is the park bench.
Hmm.
It is one of the strongest, most powerful, useful weapons in the entire game. And one of the best things you can do against psychopaths is just fucking throw a bench at them.
Hmm.
Because it knocks them flat on their ass, does a massive amount of damage, and you can walk up and kick their head in.
But I do love in the remaster how just it does a lot of quality of life updates and some little bits of things that like slip through and are a bit frustrating. For example, like psychopath timing, like you talked about there. But for the most part, it's how you remember the game, but just with some quality of life. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what I wanted from Dead Rising. I didn't want it to be a different game.
No. I was surprised at how close it was to the original. I was expecting them to put in something else. Like I was expecting, like I know there was a lot of like furore about the removal of the erotica tag on photos, which I didn't really care about. It's a bit cringy to have.
Yeah,
The thing I'm weirded out by though is that they didn't replace it with anything.
that's the weird part, right? Is that
You
they
just have
just
like
you could
unrated
have
photos, which
one
means that you
less
probably
thing to like. There's no fifth genre of photo anymore.
but clearly it's still it really feels like it was in the game for a long time. And then they removed it at the last minute. Because, for example, there is a mission in Dead Rising with Cheryl, one of the followers, who's very voluptuous, very attractive. And one of her missions is like after you've rescued her, you go to the room and you take a photo of her. And it's one
Hmm.
of the few ways to get a shit ton of PP for an erotica photo. Because there was initially a mission where you had to take a very erotic photo. And one of the only ways to do it was to take a photo of her.
Right. Okay.
Because she's the only character in the game that you get two erotica things for.
Oh,
And
okay.
you get like 5,000 PP for this one photo. The problem is that when you do that mission, you still have the circle that goes around her tits, but it says unknown, which means it must have been in the
It's
game,
programmed into the game, but they've
but they
removed
just
it.
removed the erotica tag. And it's like, but why not replace that with something else? Like, it's more annoying that it's still in the game because there's nothing more annoying when you take a photo of all the survivors and it comes up, what's this photo? It's unrated. Because clearly the erotica tag would have been there, but they removed it from the game. It's like, why not replace it with something else? So there's drama, there's horror, there's brutality, there's outtakes. Put a fifth thing in. Instead of putting like erotica, just call it, I don't know.
Shame.
Yeah, maybe.
Just
Perv.
shame.
Perv.
Yeah.
Voyeuristic.
But
Or maybe they could have replaced it entirely, overhauled it with like a good or bad. Of like, you can take photos of rescuing people, drama photos
hmm.
of heroic acts, but then you could do immoral ones, like taking pictures of people dying or zombies being having their head exploded. Or, voyeuristic photos of women. Maybe they could have done that with it, but removing it, but clearly it's still there. And I reckon we're going to see a new story at some point in the future. Someone's going to dive into the code and see it was always there. And you'll flick a switch and it'll turn it back on.
Yeah,
I
modders have
guarantee that's
probably
in the
already
game.
looked at it, right?
Scandalous. That's a great one.
Yeah, yeah, fair.
That's a great option. Make it the scandalous thing of like, or paparazzi. Like play into the fact Frank's a photojournalist and like, make it give him what if you don't make it give him negative ratings?
Hmm.
It gives you
Right, yeah.
negative PP for taking voyeuristic photos. Or just something that's not just. It's clearly in the game. I know it is.
Oh god. But yeah, the other thing that like I think like really stood out to me back in the day why I didn't finish Dead Rising much, just played it the one time.
Yep.
Other than the whole like loading screen issues. Not
And the
loading
tiny
screen
text.
issues, like load issues of just,
Yep.
you had to manually save all the time.
Yep.
I think it was just because I was playing on SDTV.
Yeah, the tiny text.
The tiny, tiny text.
Which that Dead Rising, it's an interesting game for that because it was a game in the HD era, but not everyone had HD TVs yet. As evidenced by the fact the picture of Frank West on the front of the box, he's not holding a HD TV.
Yeah. Right.
He's holding a CRT.
That
'Cause that's
actually
what
would
most
have been a really funny way to do the cover for the
Yeah.
remaster.
They
Is
should have had him holding a HD TV.
just holding an OLED above his
Yeah. I
himself
don't know why it
instead.
isn't. I don't know why it's like the shopping trolley. It should have been a HD TV.
That's a that would have been a really good idea because I didn't think about that fact. Yeah, like
Yeah.
this was a time where that TV that he's holding above the head of like the little
Look.
12-inch like tube TV with the VHS player. That's what I was playing Dead Rising on back in the day.
Yeah.
And
Like I said, it's the fact they didn't consider that people were playing on a standard definition television when presumably the piece of key art at the studio as they were making the game was him holding that exact kind of TV.
Oh, but it was old trash, Carl. That's why he's
People don't
using it as a
remember that.
weapon.
Dead Rising is such a fascinating game and time capsule because it was one of the earliest Xbox. It was the thing. It was a system seller.
Mm-hmm.
It's like selling the power of the console, but HD TVs weren't standard. Like the original Xbox 360 came with a SCART lead.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't come with HDMI or HD. It came with like remember the extra 3 things you'd get to plug into the back of a TV that put you in like 960p or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, right. It'd be like, here's the white, yellow, red like cables to plug in if you're just
Yep.
using an SD TV. Here's like the HD ones that you plug in. And it
Yep,
was
and the
only later
HDMI.
editions that came with a HDMI in the back.
Yep.
Like that's that weird time, and it was always like the two that I remember for being awful for it with Dead Rising and GTA 4 of just having the most
Yes.
unreadable fucking text.
Yeah, but then some games went the opposite direction. Like if you try and go back and play Condemned, and the text is so fucking massive, and it's like the giant, big, obnoxious Xbox X on screen. It's like UI wasn't figured out then.
I'd rather have that with Dead Rising because the text is so critical to figuring out what is happening in the game.
It's like, oh no, please, I need to pick up this carton of milk. Just Frank picks up a fucking TV over his head as he gets gnawed to death by zombies.
It's when you get the calls from Otis and he's like, hey, you should go check out thing in thing.
You're like,
and I'm like, I can't fucking read what that says. And then you pull up the watch and it's got your objectives and I can't read any of the fucking objectives all the times.
Yep. It was an interesting time. Like, it was an issue almost entirely unique to games released in that like 2-year cycle before HD televisions became the norm.
That weird like early 360 05 06 games where just they assumed that people had HD TVs when they shouldn't have assumed that that was the case.
Yeah, because presumably they were developing them in studio. So obviously they want the game to look as shiny as possible. So they presumably develop with being viewed on a HD TV in mind.
You can tell that they were developing that game on a monitor that was 3 foot away from their face, right?
Yeah.
And the amount of times I remember just like going right up next to my TV and being like, ugh.
Yeah. And that's the thing. What's like the thing you remember most then? Because when I went back into Dead Rising, the remaster, that I was like just trying all the old tricks to see, okay, what I remembered.
Right, yeah.
And the amount of stuff I remembered, like the first thing I did is, okay, I know there's the best way to get PP. You go straight to the weight bench in the entrance plaza.
Okay.
And you just destroy all the weight bench, or destroy all the punching bags.
Oh,
and it just gets you like 20,000 PP straight away.
Yeah.
Just instantly, and just puts you like a few levels up. Was there any like little tricks or tips that you were going around? Oh, is it where like did you go get the samurai sword in the first area that everyone remembers off? Like
I didn't, but I did jump on that awning like yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, I remember the katanas there." Yes,
And that's the only reason that's there is because the demo was in that section.
It was in like Paradise Plaza, yeah.
Yeah, and they put that katana there to reward exploration. And they just never in the final game. There's no reason for there to be a katana there
Yeah.
because there's a shop that sells them, but they left it in, and I always like that as a little nod to the demo because the demo is like, well, there's no way to we can't really. There's no way that to place a katana in this section of the mall that makes it realistic. Why there be a katana there? Just randomly put one here and make it a reward for players who jump over
Yeah.
and see what's over there.
And I was someone, as say, who didn't have as like ridiculous a level experience as you did with Dead Rising.
I played it so much. I replayed it like just 15 times in a row when I got it.
I still remember when we did like a stream or something of it at some point.
Oh, it was Rough on Replay. It was a short-lived gaming series we did. Remember,
Mhm.
where we replayed old games to see if they held up. And that's a form. I want to bring that back.
We should, yeah.
Do you know what? That's a really good format of Rough on Replay, of replaying an old game just in half an hour, see if it holds up. I liked that series. Can we
I
bring
did
it back?
too. We should,
Like
yeah.
Fishing Fridays. Remember Fishing Fridays?
Yeah.
We only did 3 episodes of Fishing Fridays, and I was really gutted that that never took off. If anyone's, it was just where we went. I found games with fishing mini games in them, and went and played them with Lucas. We called it Fishing Fridays, and I had like a list of like 20 games with fishing mini games. We never got to play them.
We didn't.
Let us know. Comment below if you want Fishing Fridays to come back.
Or
I'll
Rough
bring
on
that channel
Replay.
back.
I mean,
We'll bring the channel back. We can make a joint gaming channel and have Rough on Replay as one of the things, and Fishing Fridays as one. Lucas, can you commit to another YouTube channel?
oh god, there's so many things.
Please.
I mean, why we can just use
make
this
it-
channel and live stream, right?
I just realised. Let's make it a Patreon goal. That's it. Yeah, let's make like if we get like $1,000 a month or something, we'll get that channel back.
I mean, that's what we can maybe see if people
do that?
want us to do. Like, let us know in the comments.
You tell me about Dead Rising, and we'll go track down those episodes and put them in the chat for people, and we can put them in the description if anyone wants to check them out.
Hell yeah! But yes, this is one of those wikis where we don't actually really. We're not going to really read much of the wiki, but
no.
I just want to talk about Dead Rising because I know we've both been playing the remaster. But Dead Rising is a 2006 action-adventure game developed and published by Capcom. The game is the first entry in the Dead Rising series, and the story follows photojournalist Frank West, who, if you didn't know, has covered wars. After he becomes...
I love that line as well. It still cracks me up.
It's not as good in the remaster, though.
It's because it's not as cringy.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be cringier. Because the reason the I've covered wars, line, it gets memed on a lot of like, why is he saying that? He's saying it to someone. If you remember, Jessie hurts her ankle, doesn't she?
Yeah.
He says it to convince her to not go out and effectively commit suicide by trying to help Brad. He says that line, and he doesn't even believe it. He just says, Shan's are you sure I can give you this gun? He's like, yeah, I've covered wars, When he takes the gun, the first thing he does is he tells Brad, I don't know how to work it. I've never shot someone before because he's not covered wars.
Yeah.
Oh, he has covered wars, but he's never shot a gun, but he convinces her to go. It's great. It's a great line.
It is, yeah.
There's a video of Rough on Replay.
Hell goddamn, yeah. But
we only did one of, I checked, Lucas, we only did one of each. I did an episode of Ninja Gaiden, and then you did an episode about F-Zero.
What happened to Dead Rising, then?
I think the Dead Rising is just we played it for the gaming channel.
Did we just play it for a bit, yeah?
I think we'd recorded it for the gaming channel, and it never went up on either of them, so we used it again.
Oh, okay. Because, yeah, what I was going to say about that before we got just thrown off a little bit, but is that it blew my mind immediately when I saw, like, what knowledge you had about the game, where you found that shotgun.
Oh, yeah, the hidden shotgun right at the start of the game.
Right at the beginning of the game, there's a shotgun hidden under a body. And I was like, where the I've played the opening to this game like 30 times. Where the fuck was that shotgun?
I remember showing you that when we, like, in the playthrough. I'll put that link in as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I showed you that and you went, wait, is a shotgun there? There's always a shotgun there. Because you have to think, you see the guy, and if you observe the area, you see the guy holding it.
Mm.
So it stands to reason, and that's to teach you that everything in the environment can be picked up. It's a great little nod to the fact that everything in the environment can be picked up. So what else did you try? So you found the shotgun?
I found the shotgun. I knew that I wanted to do things that I kind of vaguely remembered were things. So I was like, I knew that I wanted to get the shortcut between Wonderland Plaza and Paradise Plaza in the
Yes.
toilet. I knew that I wanted to get the maintenance room key,
Yes.
to be able to go underground and, just jump between segments a bit easier.
It's
But
you have to play a certain amount of a story to get that, right?
no, no, you don't.
I thought you did.
No, because when I did a couple of like level up runs before I just, committed to an actual run that I'm doing now. And
Oh, the maintenance key, yeah, you can find that, I think,
I
right?
went straight to the underground, just drove to the center, got the maintenance like door key or whatever it's
Yes,
called.
you can get that early, but to get the
It's the
shortcut, you
empty
have to.
shop key. The empty store
Yes,
key with like 3 survivors and the heal book.
which
That
is
is
one of the most,
one,
yeah, one of the best books in the game.
because that just
That's the other
doubles
thing as
the
well.
healing.
Did you like just beeline straight towards the books then?
So I
Because this,
didn't, but on day 2, I'd already killed Adam and got the shortcut unlocked and stuff. But I
yeah,
was trying to be a bit more fun and less strategic, and just
yes,
I had like the triple duration on bladed weapons.
which is
So
one of the most useful ones in the game. Because almost every single, I mean, that's like why I hope there'd be some more balancing. Because I was
mhm,
kind of surprised when I walked into a couple of the shops, and there's some shops that were clearly in the original just filler
yeah,
of like the handbag store,
mhm,
where the only thing you can pick up is a handbag.
yeah,
I thought they'd at least go in and put more weapons in. It's like I appreciate that it's this flawless recreation of the original,
mhm.
but I'd appreciate if they put more stuff in I could pick up.
Yeah, that
I
would be nice, but I guess that
I
would
was
make it
hoping,
less of like a remaster, more towards like remake, right?
but I think I wouldn't have minded that because they have changed some stuff.
They
Like, but
have, yeah.
every psycho drops a bladed weapon, so the best thing to pick up is the bladed weapon thing because all the psycho weapons are stronger than the average bladed weapon, last longer, and with that durability thing, can last you through the entire game. And I think every psycho bar like one
Yeah.
drops some kind of bladed weapon. Like the weird cult guy drops a sword.
Mhm.
The guy doing like Vietnam flashbacks drops a machete. The butcher drops a like big butcher's cleaver.
Yep.
Adam drops the chainsaw, which counts as a bladed weapon.
And I
And I
didn't
think
want to just immediately second one rely on that single-handed chainsaw like most people do.
yes, be nice.
However, eventually when the game started getting a little bit more difficult, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see like how broken and OP this is. Of just like get the if people don't know, you can get like there's 3 different books that all stack multiplicatively,
Yeah,
and
so
it's
that
like
works for other weapons as well. There's a few weapons that work.
yes,
So the little chainsaw is the best one. So you want to explain how that works?
yeah. So there's books which triple the durability on the weapon, which
Yes.
the chainsaw is affected by 3 different of those books. The chainsaw and the small chainsaw
Yeah. So
are.
the regular
Oh no,
chainsaw
the small chainsaw specifically is with the
dropped
3
by
books,
Adam the
right?
Clown. And
Hmm.
some weapons count as two things. For example, the regular chainsaw counts as both a hardware weapon and a bladed weapon. The small chainsaw, though, counts as a what
It's
Lucas is a third
also
thing
classed as an entertainment item.
or a toy.
No, the toy book doesn't work.
Yeah, but it's like
Specifically entertainment, because there's 2 different ones. There's like I picked up the
one's a
toy
toy.
book. The toy book didn't work, but the entertainment items one did.
I think they might have changed that because it used to be a toy,
Right.
but was now because entertainment items is so. I think it only applied to like TVs, which you don't really care
Okay.
about the durability of. 'Cause you always just throw the TVs because they're very heavy.
Mm,
But and the way that the durability system works is it times the durability on an item by 3. It doesn't just times it by 3. When you have 2 books, it times it by 3 and then 3 again, so it times it by 9. And with a third book, it times it by 3 again, so it's 27 times more durable. So the small chainsaw, which can already be swung 50 times, can now be swung 27 times that.
yeah,
So it can be swung about 1,000 times before it breaks, which will last you to the end of the game.
and that's the thing, is it's also an item that you can just respawn infinitely by going in and out of the plaza.
Yeah, so you just pick up 2, and it'll carry you to the end of the game. And it's the best way to get through the game on your first run, because but on a second run, it's really fun to go through without doing that. Now you have a stronger Frank.
Hmm. And yeah, I knew that it was broken, but I'd never relied on it, because the fun for me of Dead Rising is getting creative. But
Yes,
as I
and
say, when the game started ramping up and I'm trying to get like the good ending for the first time ever,
also when you're going through the underground section, you just want it, right? It just
yes.
makes things so much easier.
And I haven't been using it that much, but I've just kept two of them as backup, even
Why
when I
not?
need them, and they last fucking forever.
And do you know, like, there's a couple of new things there. And this is what surprised it. The new things they've introduced are new skill books.
Hmm.
There's a handful of new skill books. The one I'd recommend for anyone who buys the remaster is go straight to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And in the gym, there's a new skill book which grants you access to all of Frank's moves. So it gives you access to
Oh,
every skill move in the game before you've unlocked them. So it just gives you access to an end game Frank from second one. The
interesting.
second one is in the security room. This is a new one, and it's a book that allows you to mix any item you want in a blender,
Oh,
which
I missed
allows
that.
you to. Yeah, it's right. It's the first thing you'll see, and it lets you
Ah.
blend any item and make food. So if you are only carrying like 4 TVs, you can blend those TVs and make food out of it.
A very nutritious meal.
But the hidden mechanic is if you combine certain weapons, they make more powerful versions. For example, do you like the machine guns you can get from the special ops?
Yeah.
You blend those together, it gives you the 50 cal from the back of the
That's so stupid, I love it.
yeah.
Just
It
blending
let,
machine guns to make snipers.
yeah, it lets you make more powerful weapons. But the one that's really interesting
Mm-hmm.
is there is a new book that means toys do more damage and more knockback.
Ah.
But then that stacks with the thing that makes toys last 3 times as long.
Ah. So you just can
And
use the teddy bear infinitely.
well, the teddy bear is really interesting because some of the toys are actually pretty decent
Mm-hmm.
for like knocking enemies over, and it triples the knockback. So the laser sword, for example, do you have a toy laser sword?
Yeah, yeah.
The toy laser sword becomes a one-hit kill on every zombie. But also, it's 3 times as durable and it clears crowds. And it actually has more range than the regular katana.
Oh my
So
god.
it's really good for clearing enemies. Also, like the boomerang, or the teddy bear, or the Mega Buster that you get from the toy Mega Buster now works like a regular gun, but it knocks enemies over and it works on bosses.
Oh, that's great.
It's great, and I thought that was really fun. I was like, but you put these new books in, but you didn't put new weapons in or new items.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love it if you put some new items in.
It would have been fun, yeah. And as I say, I'm just at that point now because I'm on like the final part of the case files, where just I'm on like case 8 or whatever it is on the
Yeah.
final day, and I'm like, no fucking about, get the power weapons out, but just I do want to kind of, now that you've told me about that, is just do like an old toy run.
It's really fun. Like I said, the laser sword is like actually stupid broken when you have those two books. Because the laser sword lasts forever. Because it's a toy, and that's the thing about toys that they don't break, because they're supposed to be joke weapons. So you can swing them infinitely, but they never kill the zombies. Now you can swing them infinitely with triple durability, and they do double damage, and they kill instantly.
And
Like there's like a toy cube that bounces between enemies and is supposed to knock over a group of zombies.
mhm.
Now it can take out an entire crowd of zombies. And you just walk up and pick it back up and throw it again.
I will say, Fragrant Cheese in chat says like the game sounds very fun. I think I'll try it out. I will caveat that it can be a very difficult game, and I would kind of like either try and identify the things me and Carla said, or just look up a quick like video or guide or something of just some of the more broken things or some of the things to unlock the shortcuts and things in the mall to just
Yeah.
give you a little bit of a helping hand on first plays, because
Just watch our video. There's a video I've linked in chat right
Mhm.
now. Go watch that. This is like me and Lucas playing through the game. And in that version, if I remember correctly, I tell you what all the broken shit is.
Right, yeah,
I show you like, okay, here's how you speed run the game, essentially. To get fun stuff.
because
I
yeah,
show you like the most broken thing Frank can do.
even though I've got a lot of knowledge on the game and I've unlocked all the shortcuts and stuff, I'm still finding it quite difficult to achieve every objective in time.
Yeah. A lot of it is you just need to know how to kill the psychopath as quickly as possible. And there's also a golden path through the game, because a mechanic the game never tells you is that you can only have 8 survivors spawned in on the map at the same time,
Right.
even if you don't know they're there. And there's a handful of encounters that are secret.
Hmm.
For example, in the gun shop, on the third day, randomly 3 people appear there. But if you don't take out the guys in the movie theater as soon as they appear,
Right.
because that technically that adds 5 survivors to the map. Those guys in the gun shop never appear, and as a result, it's impossible to do a perfect run unless you know that they appear and that they're
Yeah.
there.
It's yeah, it's an unforgiving game, I'd say. And
Very much so, yes.
as you say, it's one of those where roguelikes weren't very popular when this game came out in 2006, but it does have a lot of similarities to roguelike games where just
Yeah.
it encourages learning the game through multiple playthroughs and then approaching like perfect runs later on.
Which is the idea I would give, or the advice I would give people of don't play the story. Literally ignore the story as soon as you start the game. Do
Hmm.
not do the story at all, except for the first day's worth of missions to open up the entrance plaza. After that, just ignore the story and just save as many people as you can. And that should, by the time you should be like level 30 or 40 by the end of the game, and then start the game again. And now you're a more powerful Frank, you should be able, because one of the upgrades you get is run speed. And that's why it's so
Hmm.
difficult sometimes, because by the end, with a high level Frank, you run 3 times faster.
Yeah, that's why for this current playthrough, I say I went and did just some XP grinding beforehand, then got myself killed so I could load that save into a brand new run where Frank started at level 30 and could run faster and had a bit more health and stock items and stuff.
Did you also get the most broken move in the entire game?
Which is?
There's a couple. So, and they've changed this now to make it actually more powerful. So there's the Face Crusher,
I only
which is just
just unlocked. I recently unlocked the Face Crusher and the Disembowel, which are two of the better ones, and
yeah.
I unlocked them like high 40s.
So they're like instant kills on all zombies, but now they've changed them because they used to be able to be done on survivors.
Ah, okay.
They still can, but now they're an instant kill. But they're also an instant kill on the special forces. So do the
Oh,
special forces, don't shoot them, just
just
dive
run up and
towards them,
disembowel.
and it instant kills it instant kills
Right.
special forces. Which that's the thing as well. What do they think when they see that?
He's covered
When they
walls.
when they just see like this man running up, it's like there's a man in his underwear wearing a fedora running towards me at high speed, and he just disembowels your teammate wearing
Oh
full
god,
body
he
armor.
took out the whole squad. He's just ripping us apart.
Yeah, so the funny face crusher and the disembowel instantly kill special forces. The other one, and this is a really fun bug, is that you have a double lariat.
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
weapon you're holding in Frank's
It
hand,
throws that weapon, right?
but also it does damage as well. So a really great tactic is get just like a dumbbell and do the double lariat. Just dum, 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 dum. But a new thing they've done, and this is a great little addition, if you're holding a gun, Frank just holds the trigger down as he does it. So if you get the machine gun and do the double lariat, he just Dantes across the thing.
So I can't remember what it was. I think I was holding like a book by accident when I did a double lariat.
You throw it, right?
And I threw it and it like despawned.
Because it went that far.
And it was just like, I needed that. I didn't realise at the time the double lariat threw what I had equipped in my hand.
Which is really fun. There's a couple of things that works really well with, of like obviously the swords and the guns are the best weapons in the game, but one of the most underrated items in the entire game. If you want to try it, I highly recommend it. It's a fun run to do. Of the bowling ball.
Right.
The bowling ball has one of the quickest swing animations in the game. It lasts forever. It's a fucking bowling ball, and it instantly kills all zombies in one hit. 'Cause it just caves their skull in instantly.
Yeah,
but it also
yeah.
does mad damage to bosses.
It does so much bludgeon damage. It's crazy.
But it's really funny as well, because do you know what you said to the snipers running away from you? Now it's a game. It's like when they're doing that thing where they're running in a straight line and just Frank's with a bowling ball.
Or like get the golf club and the dishes and things like
The
that.
golf club's really good. Also, there's another new book that is in the North Plaza. It's in one of the shops, and it turns throwable items. It makes them explode. And that's again to make stuff like the dishes more useful. So do the dishes, they now explode when you throw them.
Oh, does that mean you can get explosive little gems?
Yes.
When you just throw the little handful of gems like
and keep in mind the gems have like a shotgun effect.
Yeah.
So now the gems is basically just a fucking the flak cannon
Because that
from Unreal Tournament.
I'm glad that book exists, but I also love the game for having the balls to make 90% of weapons useless.
Yeah, but now they're not. Some of them they're still useless unless you know that book, and it just like I said that you can now do a run with toys if you want, or you could do a run only throwable items.
See, that's a really nice way to balance it of not nerfing the Adams single-handed chainsaw mechanics,
Just make
but
other weapons just as broken if you do the same thing. Of
if
get a
you know
combination of
what to
both.
do with them, yeah.
Like
That's
if you dedicate a significant section of your inventory to these power-up books, will make any weapon powerful.
because yeah, I love the fact that you're struggling, you've got like no items left, you've used up everything. There's a horde of zombies around you, and you're like, I guess I'll just pick up whatever's closest to me, and you've got like a rack of dishes and a handful of gems, and you're like, great, I guess I'll make this work. Oh, there's a football, great.
Like so and a couple of the other things that are really powerful, but you wouldn't expect it from the game, is the knee drop. The
Oh,
knee drop
that's
is
so broke.
the knee drop is fucking unstoppable.
With the
It's
area
annoying.
of effect as well.
Yeah, it has an area of effect now, so the higher up you do it from, the bigger the area of effect. So
Mhm.
it also removes all fall damage, so you no longer have to worry about taking fall damage. Just jump and do the knee drop. You'll instantly hit the ground. All zombies die. It's just an instant kill on everything.
The annoying part though is if you jump
The
over
somersault.
something and it like does a mantle over, you can't
Yeah.
knee drop from the mantle. You've
No.
got to specifically clear the hurdle with your jump and then knee drop.
But the knee drop's also good because it stuns bosses. So if you can get up to a boss, just knee drop them and you can just stun lock them to death with the knee drop. So just knee drop them. It's so good. It's one of the best moves in the entire game.
And yeah, we haven't really talked about Dead Rising, the wiki
We don't
much,
need
but
to.
like
It's great. Oh man,
it,
I might do a stream of it next week.
mhm.
I might just run through the entire game. So I'm just going to show you how you fucking play Dead Rising.
But
Let's
yeah,
go.
for players that are unaware, just like if you do the story like through, the game it sets a time limit of 72 hours before your helicopter pilot is like, scheduled to come and pick you back up.
Yes.
But if you actually play through the game and manage to hit all of the time requirements and like keep doing the case files, the game then extends past the 72 hours and turns into like another level of story where there's like an extra like 2 days worth of missions that unfold.
Yeah, there's an extra day and a half. So
Day
there's
and a
like
half.
you have a full day to collect some items. To spoilers, this is like the canon ending is that Frank is a zombie.
Mhm.
But Isabella, and like how fucking hot is that model of Isabella? What did they do? What did they do to that model?
I love the
Isabella's
fact
now
that
just so hot.
the game looks great in the remaster, but still, for the most part, I think Frank looks quite different, but for the most part, it still encapsulates what the game kind of looks like for a 360 game.
Yeah.
Some weird lighting I've noticed though,
And sound design as well. Like the
yeah.
zombies are like the areas are really quiet. Like there's no background music. It's one of the things that used to make the original game's tones so interesting is that you constantly had background music throughout the mall. You had music play, but then when you got to nighttime, it shut off.
Yeah.
And it completely changed the vibe. There's no music in the mall.
Well, it depends, Carl. It depends whether you pick the Ken theme or not.
Is that like one of the special edition things?
Like if you put a costume on, then it comes up. Like, do you want to change the background of the mall music to like the theme of this character?
Oh, okay, I didn't buy that because I wanted to play just like I wanted the pure Dead Rising experience.
Oh, I managed to find like a place online that was selling the like deluxe version at the same price as the regular remaster, and I was like, why not? I'll get those costumes. But yeah, you can just have like Ken's theme playing in the background. It's like, fuck yes.
Yeah, there's a few things that changed. Like I said, the sound design is a bit weird. The
It's
zombies
not
aren't
a
loud
perfect
enough.
remaster, yeah.
No, like just the whole vibe is off, and like I said, the lighting's a bit iffy. Like it's way too dark. There used to be a lot of sources of like ambient light in the original game.
But I do really enjoy the fact that it's like so close to what it's that perfect remaster thing, right? Of it plays and feels like I remember it playing and feeling like
how you remember it as well.
In your brain, like you make everything look a lot nicer than it actually was. Of like, this is how I thought the game looks in my brain, but you go back to the original and it's like that tiny little text, that unreadable goddamn text.
Hey, it's almost like you could say it's rough on replay. Maybe we should do something with that idea.
But yeah, go check out that video. Go watch Karl stream Dead Rising next week. Go,
Maybe.
like, I would say for the most part, there are a couple of things that like some people say, they prefer the original version to the remaster. But I think for most people, the remaster is definitely the version I'd recommend.
It's the definitive version of a game. Like the things they've changed are not enough for me to not consider it to be superior to the original.
I think the things that people are getting a little bit frustrated with are mostly people who are like Dead Rising sickos, where normal people wouldn't know it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, even the stuff that I noticed as like a Dead Rising super fan, like I literally replayed the original and Case Western 2 before it came out. It's like it's not enough for me to say that it's not the definitive version of the game now, because it's so similar to the original experience that I can't recommend playing the original over the remaster, because the remaster is just the game, but everything's a bit shinier.
And I think everything's just like a little bit more welcoming to new players.
Yeah, just the fact there's an autosave is really handy. It's like, when I was playing through it, a boss did get me. Like Carlito got me. Just he randomly took me out and I got stun locked by Carlito. And I was like, fuck, I not saved it.
Yeah, Carlito Underground took me down to 1 heart. Like 1 box of my life was left. I had no healing items. I was just, I was so close.
There's a couple of bosses that the one that got me though is Kent. Did you do the Kent fight?
Who is Ken?
He's the photographer.
Oh, okay.
So he's got an obnoxious ass move where he charges forward like this.
Yeah, he really does.
It does 3 damage to your health, but you can't dodge it because he just follows you the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And I got stun locked by that because every time I stood up, he just did it again.
I did get hurt by him quite a bit, but yeah. I had my like Adam Chainsaw tech. I had the double healing book. I just at one point I did have to just sprint past him and go grab some orange juice.
Yeah, but I just got stun locked by that. Similarly with the special forces, they can now stun lock you with their machine guns, and that happened to me a couple of times. I was really pissed off of that. And like the original game used to have iframes. There's no iframes anymore because it's obviously based on the engine that RE4 remakes based on. Where it's like you don't get iframes in this version.
Oh god, you'll have like. How'd you take out the helicopter? Because I know that's coming.
You can find some random special forces have rocket launchers.
Oh, okay.
Just grab one and shoot it.
So, like, I remember that there's a rocket launcher somewhere. I couldn't remember what it was.
You can also just go grab a skateboard. And a skateboard means you move fast enough for it to not lock on.
And another thing to pick your brain about, because this is one thing that I found was fascinating design-wise in, like, a really frustrating way, is, like, is there any way to get from the mall to the security room without going through that annoying little, like, the little extra bit, the little, like, corridor that you go through with the elevator in it?
No. You can climb up. Like, you can climb up onto the shelves above, but that doesn't really help if you've got a survivor in tow.
Because that's the problem, right? Is that every time I'm like, but I've got like 3-4 survivors, and then I'm trying to like get them through.
That's another thing as well. Like the range on the survivors, especially in that part. Like I don't care if the amount of times I've gone up that elevator and the survivor was stood slightly too far away. So at this section, just make the range the entire room.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If I've got them into here, they're clearly going to make it to the corridor, right?
Yeah, I wanted. So I was trying to Google it, and it kept coming up like. So I was trying to Google, shortcut to security room, and it kept coming up on guides like how to unlock the Wonderland Plaza shortcut, and I was like,
"There's no way to circumvent that. You just have to go through." That
feels really archaic that they would design it that way, because it just adds that extra like 10 minutes per run back and forth.
And that's why I figured like that'd be the kind of thing that I would have changed. I would have put in like. Make it just an optional thing of like, hey, if you rescue this survivor now, they let you see an elevator that gets you straight there or something. You access another vent.
Yeah, I was going to say just like some some weird secret vent that they added in as like a shortcut through it.
Nah, there's no way to circumvent it. Unfortunately, it is quite frustrating. But the handy thing about that room is there's always a zombie that has a queen in it, usually in the center of the room. So it's just a really good way of like before you go back out, you've always get yourself access to a queen, which is just a handy way to clear out zombies.
And also, tip for anyone that's wondering, best thing to do is rather than deal with any of the zombies that are in that elevator,
Just run straight and press the button.
get the survivors close to the elevator, open the elevator, and immediately run and just like press the go up.
Press the button, yeah. You just teleport straight to the top. And that's a really awkward elevator ride, right? All the zombies in it.
It's just quick run in, press the button, and you just stood in there with like 20 zombies. Like,
They're the things I appreciate. They're like one of the fun things I did the other day to see if it still works is the rarest item in the game is the sausage rack. It's like the rarest item in the game because you only find it in the meatpacking area, which you only get any access to after you've defeated Larry. And he's like one of the final psychopaths you fight. But the sausage rack is hidden right at the back of the room. But I took it all the way back to the food court and just put it in a blender because it counts as food in the game's code.
Oh,
so you can put it into the blender and just blend 400 sausages. Just whoop.
Is Larry the guy that you fight in the supermarket?
No, that's Steven. Larry's like the butcher.
Because absolutely fuck the fight in the supermarket with the with like the fucking death trolley that he's got.
Yeah, it's because he does the backwards kick, right? That's a new move that he has.
Yeah.
If you sneak behind him. Best way to do it is just stand on the shelves. Just stand on the shelves and shoot him, then climb back down.
I was using katanas on him, so.
Oh, okay. Also, that section, it's almost impossible to die because there's just food everywhere, right?
Yeah. But I ran away to go get more healing items, and he healed himself back up. I was like, God fucking damn it.
There's a boss in Dead Rising who does that, and he's one of the most frustrating psychopaths to fight because
In Dead Rising?
In Dead Rising 2.
Oh, okay.
The chef, Antoine, he eats food, but he's only got 2 moves, and it's throw a knife or eat food, but the knife leaves you on the floor for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And he just heals himself back up to full, and it's like, for fuck's sake.
I do want to shout out to the survivor that's in the sandwich shop.
Oh, just eating.
Prior to him being there, there's food in the sandwich shop every time.
Yes.
And then he barricades himself in and complains that there's no food. And I'm like, that means you ate the entire sandwich shop's worth of supplies.
Yep.
And are still hungry and want me to go find you a fucking pie.
Do you know what the worst bit is as well? If you don't get him that, he takes whatever survivor in the room with him, which can be up to 15 survivors. Yeah. If you don't get him that food, he will leave and he takes every survivor that was in the room with him. And they all die.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And the worst bit is as well, if you go into the thing and you talk to him, you give him 1 sandwich and he's okay.
Because that's the thing. I gave him the pie in the sandwich shop to get him to follow me, but he died before making it to the security room.
Here's a pro tip: if anyone plays the game for the first time, just kill him. As soon as you see him, either kill him or keep him just give him a samurai sword and just carry him around. Do not let him into the security room because he will convince survivors to leave if you don't bring him more food. And if you forget to do it, or because the annoying thing is if you go to the security room, get a mission, then leave, that counts as you going back and not speaking to him. So it instantly ends the mission, says you didn't fulfill it, and he takes 20 survivors with him.
That's what happened to me when the guy wanted wine.
He doesn't take anyone with him, though. He just asks for the wine. He just gets pissed off and won't do it.
I went to go get the wine to him, went in the security room, triggered a cutscene, and then that meant I couldn't give the wine to him. I was like, okay, sure. But anyway.
So some survivors have requests, and you can fail the request and you don't lose anything, but they have the mutiny attempts, and there's only 2 of them, and they happen on the 3rd day. One's with the guy who wants food, and the other one's with Kindle, who doesn't believe that the helicopter's come in. And if you don't stop the mutinies, they take whoever's in the room with them. And it's real fucked up because you can lose like 15 survivors.
God. Oh, but anyway, I think
so mad at Ronald.
That's all we need to say about Dead Rising. Like,
he ruined my perfect run because the first time I tried to do a perfect run, and I didn't get Saint, which is when you rescue everyone in the mall in the same time. Because I never went to check the survivors. So I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
know they're in there, and I was like, oh, I can ignore it. Who gives a shit? And I went, wait, look, survivor chat. 15 fucking survivors were gone because Ron took them. And the next time I saw Ron, just bowling ball. Like, oh, you locked us in? No, Ron.
Oh, fuck that guy. But yeah,
He's so annoying.
I'd highly recommend if like you found this discussion interesting to
Play the
go
game.
play the game, whether that be like, you know, through backwards compatibility, you can play it on Xbox on the cheap if like you just get the 360 version. But I would personally recommend the remaster. Like, I do think that it's worth it. It's not a full price game.
It's not.
And I'm sure it'll be even lower price if you like wait a month or so.
Also, as well, it's a full experience if you've not played Dead Rising before. But as a fan who's played the game a lot, I got the nostalgia from it, but my desire to replay it has been diminished by the fact I know there's nothing new to experience because I've seen everything. But I'm guessing someone who's not played the game as many times as I have will have the desire to replay it, so it would be a full experience.
I'm really excited to replay it multiple times and unlock everything like I didn't when I originally played Dead Rising.
All the costumes and stuff, right? Like for killing all the psychos and rescuing all the people.
Yeah, like I want to do the perfect runs and learn the game that way and stuff, yeah.
Best thing if you get Saint, the only thing it gives you is just a white hat. It gives you a little white hat to let you know that your Frank saved everyone. What's like it was before what we ended then? What's your Frank rocking around in?
Currently he's dressed as Ashley Graham.
Oh, you got all the DLC costumes. It's my Frank always wears the same thing.
There's one. Sorry, I was gonna say there's one that I do quite like and hate at the same time, and it's a liquor outfit.
Oh, it looks awful.
It looks so bad because there's a giant liquor tongue just floating in front of Frank the entire time.
Also, he stood like in his like normal human proportion instead of like crouched over like a liquor, right?
Yeah.
The Mr. X one's, the Tyrant one's quite good because if you use like the football tackle move as Tyrant, it looks proper boss.
It's the Nemesis, right? Yeah.
The Nemesis, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks super good when you do like the throw over the head with like the Nemesis costume.
No, I just love like dressing up as Ashley Graham because you keep Frank proportions, and Frank's a beefy dude.
They've made him so buff in the remake.
He's so buff and like
he's so jacked.
He's so wide, and it's just this Ashley Graham that's like.
So he was a pretty burly dude in the original.
Yeah.
But the new one, he is jacked as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like he looks like he's built like a linebacker.
I believe that this Frank West can pick up that TV and throw it at 50 miles an hour.
Well, we've seen sort of the physics have changed slightly as well. So like the range that you throw people now has increased, and I realize that the best way to get people from the top of the mall to the bottom is if you do the suplex because he throws them 10 feet in the air, so you can just throw them over the balcony.
Does that not just kill them?
No, they're fine. See, like I was doing that, I'm like, oh, here's all. I was trying to make like a shit post video, but I couldn't time it right. Because like it was something I did by accident, and then I thought it was really fun to try to recreate it to film it, and I couldn't. And it was like I was like walking, and a survivor came up and hit me with a sword. So there was a zombie in front of me. So I turned around and tried to like disembowel them, but then they turned around and run away, and I suplexed them, and I suplexed them off a balcony, and it looked super good. But the best is they ran all the way back up.
They wanted to do the ride again.
Oh yeah. That was super funny though. I just suplexed someone. They went so fucking far.
God, I was like nearly at max level when the two characters that are like dangling above the zombies.
Yeah. When
I came across them, and I threw like a hunk of meat at them and nailed them in the head. But like Frank is so powerful at this point. He throws that thing with so much force.
Yeah, it does damage, right?
Yeah.
The other way you can do that without damaging them is if you unequip all your weapons and aim, you spit.
Oh, yes, of course you do.
Your spit does no damage, but it does knock back. So you can use the spit to knock people over.
It does emotional damage.
You can also use it to stun bosses. If you're a real baller about it, you can stun the final boss by spitting on him.
I just spitting on him. Oh dear.
They're like the stupid things, right? Of just like Frank, like because imagine if you're running at someone to kick their ass and they just spit in your face, you would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
That's the thing, right? I think that's why I prefer Dead Rising 1 is because, yeah, you can min-max the shit out of it, but so much of it is Frank just being, like, completely incompetent and just, like, spitting on people and throwing hands at them and shit. And it's like, you get so powerful with, like, combo weapons and combo vehicles and stuff in the later games.
Combo weapons make the game uninteresting because it means you've never got any desire to pick anything else up.
The one thing I'll say is that I think that the actual area that you're playing in Dead Rising 2 is better than them all.
Yeah, it's more interesting. It's more visually. There's more areas that are visually fun and interesting.
I was like remembering in my head certain areas that were actually Dead Rising 2 areas, and I was like, oh yeah, like Dead Rising 1's actually really quite small, and a lot of it is just a mall.
And a lot of it's filler. Like I said, there's a lot of shops that don't actually have anything in. Like every
Yeah.
women's clothing shop has nothing in it you can use. There's no weapons, there's no items, there's only one outfit per store.
There's normally just hanger.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god damn. But yeah. Anyway, we could talk about Dead Rising all day long,
I could indeed.
and I'm just so happy that I get to play like a near perfect version of it.
Yes. Almost a flawless recreation of the original with some minor caveats.
Thank you all for watching and listening. I hope everyone has a lovely week. Go check out our video that we play Dead Rising on.
Yes, it's in the links below, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah.
We'll see if we remember to do it. Cheers, everybody.
Bye.